Chapter 1006. Furthermore, the opening of the Honorable Mystic Realm was approaching. If the miners went on strike at this critical moment, it would not be as simple as a scolding. They might even lose their jobs. Therefore, Jia Yutian's first reaction was to avoid trouble. He wanted to chase Jia Muzin away as soon as possible. You're just a lackey, yet you're talking big. I'm going to interfere in today's matter. If you have the guts, try and touch me. Jia Muzin did not move or panic. He looked at Jia Yutian coldly, and said in a deep voice, F***ck, I'm giving you face, yet you don't want it? Let's try. I've been wanting to teach you a lesson for a long time. Jia Yutian saw that there was no way to resolve this matter. He waved his hand and ordered his subordinates, attack. Beat him until he can't take care of himself, then throw him out to feed the dogs. The disciples of the Jia family picked up their weapons and charged at Jia Muzin. More than 10 of them surrounded him. Although Jia Muzin was a branch disciple of the clan, this group of disciples were all from Jia Yubian, Jia Huiyan's faction. They did not think much of Jia Muzin in the first place. Compared to surrounding and attacking Xiao Chun, they were more willing to deal with this stray dog who had fled in defeat. Tisk, you're overestimating yourself, Jia Muzin sneered. He circulated his elemental force and revealed his cultivation. Before the disciples of the Jia family could make a move, he waved his palm and slapped the person closest to him. Ah! Ah! Before the disciples of the Jia clan could react, a few of them were sent flying by Jia Muzin in an instant. Every wail was accompanied by a silhouette that flew out and fell to the ground. The other disciples were scared silly and stood blankly on the spot. They didn't know whether they should rush forward or run away. You're already at the Martial General Perfection realm? Jia Yutian was shocked. He frowned and immediately released his strength. He was an expert at the Martial King Perfection realm. What's the use of a Martial General Perfection realm? Jia Yutian looked up to the sky and laughed. He slapped at Jia Muzin and shouted, Little bastard, since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Pretend you're mother's egg. Before the imposing Jia Yutian could reach Jia Muzin, a voice suddenly rang out, followed by the sound of wind breaking coming from the side. Jia Yutian tilted his head and saw the sole of a shoe rapidly kicking towards him. He wanted to dodge, but found that it was too late. Bang! A muffled sound rang out. Jia Yutian was ruthlessly kicked by Xiao Chun, and he flew out with a blood-curdling scream. After he landed on the ground, he struggled to stand up. However, Xiao Chun stomped him down again, causing him to hiss in pain and suck in a breath of cold air. If I didn't want to keep you alive to ask some questions, I would have kicked you to death. You're just a small martial king perfection. How dare you try to compete with me? Xiao Chun grabbed Jia Yutian's loose hair, lifted him up, and punched him in the abdomen. Pooh! Jia Yutian spat out a mouthful of blood and looked at Xiao Chun in disbelief. He said in fear, Cough cough you're a first-level martial venerable. Who the hell are you? When Xiao Chun kicked his disciple, Jia Yutian did not pay attention to his strength. Now that he found out that he was a martial venerable, he almost wet his pants. Jia Yutian could not help but be afraid. Even the Jia family did not have many martial venerables. Where did this guy come from? He had never seen such a person in the martial arts world. I don't mind telling you, I'm your young master Jia Muzin's helper in the foreign aid competition. Xiao Chun cast a sidelong glance at Jia Yutian and said with a cold smile, This young master just beat up those two fools, Jia Huiyan and Tang Qianling, outside. Your status is too lowly, you don't deserve to know my name. You're Big B's helper? Jia Yutian looked at Xiao Chun's lower body subconsciously. His ears were ringing from the kick, so he did not hear the first half of Xiao Chun's words. When he saw Xiao Chun raise his fist again, he quickly shook his head. Only then did he realize the second half of Xiao Chun's words. He was so frightened that he collapsed to the ground. He said in a panic, This young hero. I have eyes but failed to recognize you. I didn't mean to offend you. Please be merciful and let me go. Don't say such useless things. Tell me, is there a person named Xiao Feng in this heavenly jade mine? Where is he now? Let him go immediately. Xiao Chun grabbed Jia Yutian's hair and shouted angrily, Xiao Feng, I've never heard of this person. Jia Yutian shook his head. Before he finished speaking, Xiao Chen became impatient. With a gloomy face, he grabbed two of Jia Yutian's fingers and forcefully twisted them. Crack. Two crisp sounds of bones breaking could be heard. Jia Yutian did not expect Xiao Chen to make a move without saying a word. He was caught off guard and felt a sharp pain in his left hand. It was so painful that tears were about to fall. He wailed loudly, "Ah! Young hero, spare me. Let me think again. Think again. Don't make a move first." "Oh sure. Then think about it." Xiao Chen agreed immediately. Just as Jia Yutian breathed a sigh of relief, he smiled and said, "But let me tell you, you still have 8 fingers, which means you have 4 chances. From now on, every 30 seconds I will break your fingers, and then..." Xiao Chen did not continue speaking. He made a you-know expression. Although there was a smile at the corner of his mouth, there was no smile in his eyes at all. Okay. I'll start thinking right away. That person's name is Xiaofeng, right? He should be a man, right? What does he look like? Is there anyone as handsome as you, young hero?" Jia Yutian was sweating profusely and kept asking questions. At this time in his eyes, Xiao Chen's smile was as scary as the devil's. On the surface, he kept asking questions, but in fact, Jia Yutian wanted to buy more time. His mind kept recalling the name Xiaofeng, but he had no impression of it at all. "Now I'll start counting from 1 to 30. If you still haven't figured it out, hee." Naturally, Xiao Chen could see Jia Yutian's plan. He was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. He started counting calmly. 1, 2, 30 times up. Crack. Ah! Another 2 crisp sounds rang out. Although Jia Yutian had already used his martial qi to protect his fingers in advance, it was completely useless. They were still easily broken by Xiao Chen. He rolled on the ground in pain and nearly fainted. "Hurry up. Don't waste my time." Xiao Chen looked at Jia Yutian coldly and said, "I've lost my patience. Next time, I'll break all your fingers, and you'll have to eat with your toes for the rest of your life." Xiao Chen was also worried that someone would secretly inform the Jia family, so he did not want to waste any more time. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if the Jia family's experts came to rescue him. Chapter 1007. Wait. I have some impression of him. It's Xiaofeng, right? Let's go to the archives room. We can definitely find his information there. Jia Yutian trembled and immediately stood up from the ground. He pointed his middle finger at the archives room not far away and said in a hoarse voice. He had no choice. His other fingers were either injured or broken by Xiao Chen. This was the only one he could use. Xiao Chen did not say much. He directly dragged Jia Yutian to the archives room. At the same time, he instructed Jia Muzin and the girls to stay where they were and keep an eye on the other disciples of the Jia family. They could not let them escape in case someone reported to the Jia family. Cheng Minjing, who had been standing at the side, suddenly thought of something. She said a few words to Jia Muzin and hurriedly ran to Xiao Chen's side and walked with him to the archives room. The 3 of them arrived at the archives room and opened the door. Xiao Chen could not help but be a little surprised. He did not expect there to be a computer in the inner martial arts world. It looked quite modern and was probably used to store information. Sure enough, Jia Yutian skillfully turned on the computer and quickly opened a document on the desktop to check. Because his fingers were not very good, the progress was a little slow. Xiao Chen stared at Jia Yutian's movements. Just when he felt impatient and was about to make a move, Jia Yutian suddenly cheered. "I found it." Xiao Chen and Cheng Minjing suddenly turned their heads and stared at the document on the computer. "Look, there is a record here. In the beginning, a member of the Jia family heard that spirit stones were found in the Hakanamata desert. He wanted to investigate whether there was a spirit jade mine. However, he did not find the spirit jade mine. Instead, he met a small team from the secular world who participated in the trial. At that time, the team happened to be in danger. Except for Xiaofeng and Cheng Zhongqian, the rest were all dead." Jia Yutian looked at the text on the screen and read it in detail. Jia Yutian quickly moved the mouse button and turned to the next page of the document. He continued to read. After the Jia family rescued Xiaofeng and Cheng Zhongqian, they tricked them. Ahem. brought them to the Tianyu mine, and let them participate in the collection of spirit jade. What did you say? Uncle is not dead. Then where is he now? Tell me. When Cheng Minjing saw Jia Yutian's name on the computer screen, her breathing quickened. She grabbed Jia Yutian's collar excitedly and shook him vigorously a few times. When Cheng Minjing was young, apart from her father, Cheng Zhongming, her uncle, Cheng Zhongqian, was the person who loved her the most. Moreover, her marriage to Xiao Chun was also arranged by Cheng Zhongqian, so she had deep feelings for this uncle since she was young. Just now, when Xiao Chun took Jia Yutian to the archive room, she also followed, just to find out the whereabouts of her uncle. Cough cough. Jia Yutian's breathing became labored and his face turned red. He wanted to say something but he couldn't. Minjing, don't worry. My father and your third uncle will be fine. Xiao Chun gently hugged Cheng Minjing's shoulders to make her relax a little. Cheng Minjing's tightened shoulders slightly relaxed and she let go of Jia Yutian. Jia Yutian bent down and gasped for breath. Before he could recover, Xiao Chun turned around and slapped him on the head. He said impatiently, "Don't play dead, continue to investigate. Who had brought them to the mine? And how did that person lie to them?" As a peak martial king, Jia Yutian naturally wouldn't be so weak. He just wanted to buy time. Now that he was exposed by Xiao Chun, he felt a little embarrassed. He hurriedly continued to read. The person who brought them here is Elder Jia Yubian, the father of the next family head Jia Huyan. The reason he lied to them was that he had elixirs that could help people who couldn't become cultivators to practice, so although he was reading the information calmly, Jia Yutian secretly remembered what Xiao Chun had said. It turned out that one of them was looking for his father, and the other was looking for his uncle. When he returned, he would report to the family head. Bang! Before Jia Yutian finished reading, Xiao Chun clenched his fist and fiercely punched the table. Jia Yutian was so scared that he almost jumped up. He quickly dodged. Turtle Whip, what a slut's name. Xiao Chun was so angry that he sneered and said, "That turtle took advantage of my father's eagerness to find elixirs, and made up such a dirty lie to deceive people. It seems that after I deal with Jia Huyan, I will use this turtle to make soup." Xiao. Hero Xiao. I have already found out what you said. Can you just treat me as a fart and let me go? Although Jia Yutian was very unhappy with Xiao Chen's insolent attitude, he was currently under someone else's control, so he could only put on a brave face and ask carefully. Since Xiao Feng was his father, his surname should also be Xiao, right? What's the hurry? I have one last question. Answer it, and I will let you go. Xiao Chen stared at Jia Yutian expressionlessly and said coldly. At this time, the door opened and they turned to look. Jia Yutian thought that someone had come to save him, and his eyes burst with joy. However, when he saw that the person who walked in was Jia Muzin, he lowered his head dejectedly. Why are you here? What happened outside? Cheng Minjing stood at the side and asked softly. Nothing, I just saw that you guys haven't come out for so long, and I was a little worried, so I came to take a look. Jia Muzin shook his head. Xiao Chen slapped Jia Yutian's head again and asked, Speak. Where are my father and Cheng Zhongqian now? I don't know. Hey, Hero Xiao, don't do it first, let me think. Jia Yutian still wanted to quibble, but he did not expect that Xiao Chen would directly grab his left and right hands, and with a few cracking sounds, Jia Yutian's fingers were all broken like corn. I heard that on rainy days, breaking your fingers and losing your life are more compatible. Xiao Chen stared at Jia Yutian, as if he was looking at a dead man. His voice was very gentle, but Jia Yutian felt that it was like the voice of the devil from hell. I remember. Jia Yutian grimaced in pain and hissed. He was afraid that Xiao Chen would kill him again, so he endured and said, A while ago, Xiao Feng and Cheng Zhongqian joined forces with a few cultivators to openly revolt, and then they were suppressed by me. Those who rebelled were all taken away, and it was said that they were used for experiments. Jia Yutian did not want to say it, but Xiao Chen was too ruthless. He was afraid that if he did not say it, this guy might really kill him in a rage. Experiments? Xiao Chen was shocked, and an ominous premonition suddenly emerged in his heart. He stretched out his hand and grabbed Jia Yutian's neck and shouted, Where were they taken? What is that experiment? Don't dawdle, hurry up and say it. Otherwise, I will strangle you to death. Ahem. Xiao. Hero. I really don't know. Chapter 1008. This is the Jia family's core secret. Maybe even young Master Huiyan doesn't know about it. I guess only Jia, Elder Yupian, knows about it. The strength of Honorable Xiao Chen wasn't something that Cheng Minjing could compare with. Jia Yutian felt like he was being squeezed tightly by an iron hoop. He was out of breath and couldn't even speak properly. This time he didn't lie. Only the core members of the Jia family can come into contact with the secret experiments. They should be at least at the level of an elder. Only then would they know the details. Jia Muzin was aware of this situation. When he heard this, he added, "In that case, this question is invalid. I'll ask you another question. As long as you answer it honestly, I'll let you live." Xiao Chen nodded and slightly loosened his grip on his neck. Jia Yutian nodded repeatedly and desperately breathed in fresh air. He felt dizzy. Xiao Chen looked at him coldly and asked lightly, "Did you hit my father?" No. Of course not. How could I dare to hit Hero Zhao's father?" Jia Yutian immediately denied. If he admitted that he had hit Xiao Chen's father, would it be any good? Crack. Xiao Chen slightly tightened his grip, and the sound of bones breaking was heard again. Jia Yutian opened his mouth wide in shock, and desperately wanted to beg for mercy. His eyes were bulging like a goldfish, but he could only make a ho-ho sound. His neck had been broken by Xiao Chen. He didn't even have the chance to struggle. It didn't take long before he breathed his last breath and lowered his head softly. "I hate people who lie to me the most. Look at you. You bully the weak and fear the strong. It would be strange if you didn't beat my father." Xiao Chen loosened his grip. Jia Yutian collapsed on the ground like a pile of mud. His neck was twisted into a strange shape. He stared at the roof with his eyes wide open. Until his death, he didn't know the name of the person who killed him. Xiao Chen checked the information in the computer again. After confirming that there was no more information about his father and the Cheng family's youngest uncle, he turned off the computer and prepared to go out with Jia Muzin and Cheng Minjing. He wanted to ask a few other girls to go to the Jia family together. But before they could reach the door was pushed open again with a bang. Tian Suruan ran in. "What's wrong, Sour?" Seeing Tian Suruan's slightly excited yet slightly panicked expression, Xiao Chen was a little confused and asked in astonishment. "They're fighting. There's a fight outside." Tian Wangsho panted a few times, jumping and pointing outside the door. "What?" Jia Muzin's complexion changed. He quickly walked to the door and looked outside. He saw that the people outside were clearly divided into two camps. Most of the miners were waving the pickaxes in their hands angrily. They formed groups of 3 to 5 and rushed toward the disciples of the Jia clan. Both sides were fighting each other. The scene was very chaotic, and bloodshed occurred from time to time. "Didn't you guys just beat up that Jia something Tian and dragged him away?" The group of miners seemed to be very happy. They were discussing that there was finally someone who could deal with this fellow. Tian Suruan added from behind him. Then that group of lackeys of the Jia clan became unhappy and scolded them. Some of them even went up and wanted to whip them like before. In the end, they pushed and shoved each other, and a fight broke out. Xiao Chen and Cheng Minjing looked at each other. Although they were not standing at the door, they could hear the noise coming from outside. Xiao Chen guessed that the miners must have been suppressing their grievances for many years. Now that there was a breakthrough, they finally erupted. "Where's Qinxue? And Ling, or how are they?" Cheng Minjing pulled Tian Suruan and asked anxiously. "Ling took Qinxue and hid far away. If Sister Suruan didn't run fast enough, she might have been implicated." Tian Suruan patted his chest with lingering fear. Seeing that the conflict outside was getting more and more intense, and was about to turn into a large-scale bloodshed, Xiao Chen was just about to ask Jia Muzin how to handle it, when he suddenly pulled the door open and rushed out. "Everyone, don't get agitated. Calm down. Let me say something fair." Jia Muzin quickly ran into the mine, found a relatively tall stone pile, and stood on it. He displayed his martial general full-circle cultivation, and shouted at the chaotic crowd. Many people who were at the periphery of the fight stopped when they heard Jia Muzin's words. However, the people at the center of the fight were already in a frenzy, and no one paid any attention to him. Jia Muzin did not repeat himself. His figure flashed and directly rushed into the crowd. He pulled out the people who were fighting fiercely and threw them in different directions. Although he was only a martial general full circle level 10, he was much more powerful than these miners and lackeys. After throwing out a few people, everyone finally quietened down. The miners and the descendants of the Jia clan all looked at Jia Muzin eagerly. The miners knew that Jia Muzin was not as black-hearted as the other members of the Jia clan. Just now, it was his companion who saw injustice and stood up for them. Therefore, they were willing to listen to how he would solve the problem. In the eyes of the descendants of the Jia clan, only Jia Muzin was a member of the family. Although he was a collateral descendant, he was the only one who could control the situation. "Where's the deputy supervisor of the mine?" Jia Muzin saw that the situation had stabilized a little, so he returned to the pile of rocks and shouted at the Jia clan's disciples. There was a commotion in the crowd, but it quickly calmed down. No one stepped forward. Jia Muzin frowned and shouted again. "Deputy supervisor of the mine, step forward immediately. Restrain the disciples of the Jia clan. Without my orders, no one is allowed to lay a hand on the miners. Otherwise, I won't just throw people away next time. I'll kill them. Do you hear me?" "Young Master Muzin, I'm the deputy supervisor here, Jia Hongyong." This time, a tall and skinny man finally walked out from the crowd. He respectfully bowed to Jia Muzin and said, "What should I do next?" "I'll listen to everything you say." The reason why Jia Hongyong did not step forward immediately was that he was still hesitant. After all, he was only a deputy supervisor who had been bullied by Jia Yutian all year round. He had no authority over the affairs of the mine, and did not dare to criticize Xiao Chun and Jia Muzin. Therefore, he hesitated for a moment before stepping forward. Jia Muzin was stunned. Just as he was about to ask him why he did not say anything before, he suddenly saw the firm look in Jia Hongyong's eyes. Jia Muzin's eyes flashed, and he instantly understood what was going on. This person was probably not on the same side as Jia Huiyan and Jia Yubian in the mine. Therefore, he had always been depressed and could only be a supporting character. Now that he saw his powerful ability and the hope of becoming the young patriarch, coupled with the fact that Jia Yutian had been trampled on, he made up his mind to come and pledge his allegiance. Thinking of this, Jia Muzin nodded. He looked at him deeply and said, "How about this? Later, you can find a reason and say that Jia Yutian died in a mine accident. I think you should know what to do. As long as you handle things well, after the competition, I'll think of a way to make you the supervisor of the mine." Chapter 1009. "Yes, I understand. Rest assured, young Master Muzin. I promise that you and the others will not be implicated." Jia Hongyong promised. "Oh, also, don't let the Jia clan's disciples beat up the workers anymore. Don't deduct the workers' wages at will either. They work so hard every day, so they must eat well 3 times a day. Their living quarters must also be comfortable." Jia Muzin thought for a while and continued, "If any worker has a legitimate reason to leave the mine, you must agree to their request unconditionally. Do you understand?" "No problem, young Master Muzin. I promise to do as you say." Jia Hongyong nodded in agreement. Xiao Chun, who had been standing behind the pile of rocks and watching, was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Jia Muzin, who looked dull, would have such courage to command his subordinates. It seemed that he was a talent that could be molded. Jia Muzin jumped down from the pile of rocks and gave a few instructions to the miners. He said that if any of them wanted to resign and go home, they could apply immediately. However, they would have to wait until he became the head of the family and completed the task of mining spiritual jades before they could be officially released. However, if they wanted to come back to mine in the future, the Jia family would welcome them at any time. After hearing Jia Muzin's words, many of the miners happily accepted Jia Muzin's suggestion and went to find Jia Hongyong to register. After all, they had not returned home for a long time. Under such inhumane work, everyone missed their families. Although there were many miners who applied to go home, They all promised that they would come back to mine after visiting their families. In any case, the salary here was quite high, and Jia Muzin didn't seem to be as unreasonable as Jia Yutian. It would be very pleasant to work under him. After arranging the relevant matters, Jia Muzin planned to bring Xiao Chun and the others back to the Jia family. There was no longer any value in staying in the mine. Moreover, if Xiao Chun wanted to investigate the matter of Xiao Feng and Cheng Zhongqian, he would have to wait until he became the head of the family to get in touch with him. Jia Muzin and his party drove the special car that was used to pick up people in the mine and sped towards the direction of the Jia clan. Jia Muzin, who was going home again, was a little nervous. He didn't know what kind of treatment he would receive. Fortunately, he had a capable helper like Xiao Chun. Otherwise, he wouldn't have the courage to return to that disappointing place. In the evening, everyone arrived at the Jia clan. After parking the car, Jia Muzin found a disciple and asked the clan head where Jia Jinyan was. After all, he was still a member of the Jia clan. Although he had left in anger, now that he was back, he had to report to the clan leader first. After the disciple recognized Jia Muzin, he told him that Jia Jinyan was in the conference room, holding a meeting with the family members. He suggested that Jia Muzin wait in the living room for a while until they finished their meeting. However, after thinking about it, Jia Muzin still brought Xiao Chun and the others to the conference room. He had been waiting for this day for too long. When he returned to the Jia family, he didn't want to wait any longer. He wanted to directly prove to Jia Jinyan that he had the ability to become the successor of the family head. Father, I don't think it's possible that Jia Yutian died in a mining accident. There must be something strange about it. We must send an investigation team to investigate the cause of his death thoroughly and punish the perpetrators severely. Otherwise, others will think that our Jia clan is easy to be bullied. In the conference room, Jia Yubian was frowning and said indignantly, while Jia Muzin and the others were driving to the Jia family, Jia Hongyong had already sent back the news of Jia Yutian's death. When Jia Yubian learned about it, he flew into a rage and cursed Jia Hongyong. He also strongly questioned Jia Yubian's statement of the mine accident. Jia Yubian knew Jia Yutian too well. This guy usually acted like a tyrant in the mine and patrolled everywhere. But he never went down to the mine to check the situation, let alone encountered a mining accident. There must be a trap. Maybe he was killed by someone with ulterior motives. However, no matter how Jia Yubian threatened or hinted, Jia Hongyong insisted that Jia Yutian had encountered a mining accident. This made Jia Yubian feel helpless, like a dog trying to bite a hedgehog, and he was very depressed. No way. Jia Jinyan, who was sitting in the clan head's seat, shook his head and rejected Jia Yubian's proposal without hesitation. Jia Yubian was stunned. In the past, Jia Jinyan would listen to any suggestions he made, and most of them would be adopted, or at least discussed with him. This was the first time he rejected it like this. Jia Jinyan saw his stunned expression and explained patiently, Yubian, you know that the venerable mystic realm is about to open, and now is the final stage of mining spiritual jades. It is absolutely not appropriate to investigate wantonly. It will make the people in the mine anxious. And who will have the mood to mine spiritual jades? So, all of this can wait until the mystic realm closes. This, Jia Yubian felt as if he had punched cotton, and he had nowhere to exert force. He also knew the importance of the venerable mystic realm. The Jia clan relied on providing spiritual jades to occupy a place in the martial arts world. If they dropped the ball at this critical moment, it would be difficult for them in the future. However, Jia Yubian was not willing to lose the control of the heavenly jade mine. Jia Yubian changed his approach and said, Father, I understand what you said, but the heavenly jade mine can't be without a supervisor for a long time. This will also affect the mining. I suggest that we send another person to take charge of the situation, in case those miners find an opportunity to cause trouble. Big brother, didn't Father say that? Everything can wait until the venerable mystic realm is over before investigating. In the past, when Jia Yutian was not in charge of the heavenly jade mine, the mine could still maintain its production, right? You don't have to be too anxious. Sitting at the other end of the table, a middle-aged man who looked somewhat similar to Jia Yubian picked up a teacup and said unhurriedly. This person's name was Jia Yudo, and he was Jia Yubian's younger brother. He was in charge of the family's outreach work with other sections. This outreach work was also a very lucrative job. After all, the Jia clan guarded the Heavenly Jade Mine, which was a treasure mountain. Basically, they did not need to go up to other sects to curry favor with them. They would take the initiative to come to them and ask for more cooperation. Naturally, they would also show their respect to Jia Yudo, who was in charge of the outreach work. Jia Yudo was also very smart. Since taking over the outreach work, he had screened the sects that came to him. He had gained the support of many leaders of the ancient sects, so that the spiritual jades mined by the Jia clan could be used to the greatest extent. Therefore, he had become an important figure in the Jia clan. He was equally famous as Jia Yubian, and was also an elder. Jia Jinyan also valued him. Jia Jinyan had a total of 3 sons. In addition to Jia Yubian and Jia Yudo, there was originally a third son called Jia Yulin, who was Jia Muzin's father. However, a long time ago, he and his wife died in an accident while carrying out a mission, leaving Jia Muzin as his only son. Chapter 10:10. Because of this, Jia Muzin's status in the family plummeted. He was pushed from the core of the family to a collateral relative. As Jia Yulin had always been an upright person with a strong sense of justice, he had offended his 2 elder brothers, Jia Yubian and Jia Yudo. Therefore, many people in the Jia clan guessed in private that it was one of them who had secretly attacked Jia Yulin. At that time, he and his wife had carried out a very simple escort mission. In theory, there should be no danger. Unexpectedly, they were intercepted and killed by a master on the way. That was why both of them lost their lives. At that time, Jia Jinyan was extremely angry because of this. He had offered a large reward for the arrest of the murderer. However, there was no clue. In the end, the case was left unsettled, which became a great shame for the Jia family. What do you know? Those workers are all lowlifes. If there's no one in charge to control them, I reckon that it won't be long before they go on strike and stir up trouble. When that time comes, can you take responsibility? Jia Yubian glared at Jia Yudo. Obviously, he was very annoyed by Jia Yudo's indifferent attitude. Humph! If Jia Yutian was not so black-hearted and bullied the workers all day long, why would they be dissatisfied with the Jia family? Jia Yudo curled his lips. Jia Yubian's eyes widened. When he was about to refute, he saw Jia Yudo gently knock on the table and said calmly, "Brother, don't doubt me. I heard that Jia Yutian not only embezzled wages and filled his own pockets, but also often ordered his men to abuse the miners. I think those workers have long wanted to rebel." Nonsense. Jia Yubian slammed the table and said loudly, "Jia Yutian usually follows me. I know best what kind of person he is. You don't need to frame him here." "Brother, why are you so agitated?" Jia Yudo glanced at him coldly. "It is because you usually do not discipline him, that you are worried about the consequences after something happened to him. TSK. I don't know how much of the money Jia Yutian embezzled went into his pocket, and how much was handed over." Jia Yubian's shortcomings were exposed. He immediately jumped up and roared emotionally, "Don't just stand there and talk. It's easy for you to say that. Why don't you try managing the mines for a few days? Those workers were usually lazy and didn't work. They even made all kinds of rude requests to the Jia clan. They were all shameless and unruly people. How can we not give them some pressure?" "Hehe, since Big Brother has said so, it would be impolite for me to refuse. I'll have to trouble you for a while. As long as you agree to hand over the management rights of the mine, I will immediately send someone down. I guarantee that they will do 100 times better job than Jia Yutian." Jia Yudo immediately followed up, a cunning light flashing in his eyes. He had been waiting for Jia Yubian to say this. Jia Yubian had been eyeing the Heavenly Jade Mine for a long time. There were only a few ancient sects, but the mine was a big cake. If he could occupy a corner, he would be able to gain a lot of benefits. Jia Yubian was stunned. He didn't expect Jia Yudo to climb up the pole. For a moment, he was so angry that his chest heaved, and he couldn't even speak. Creak. Jia Jinyan always had an attitude of survival of the fittest when it came to the internal strife of the family. Therefore, he didn't interrupt until they reached a deadlock. He was about to speak and stop the two from quarreling. However, before he could speak, he heard the sound of the door opening. Everyone turned their heads and saw Jia Muzin leading Xiao Chun, and the others in with his head held high and chest puffed out. He stared at Jia Yubian and Jia Yudo, as if they were idiots, a disdainful smile appearing on his lips. It's a good thing that I didn't let you two be the patriarchs. What kind of good patriarchs do you think you two are? Sooner or later, the Jia clan will be completely defeated by you. I think you two might as well go out and fight. What's the point of talking like a girl here? Jia Muzin sneered. He never had a good impression of these two uncles, so he didn't have any good words to say. How dare you? Who do you think you are? Jia Muzin, why is it you? Jia Yubian's back was facing the door, so he didn't see who the person was. He turned around and rolled up his sleeves while cursing. However, when he saw Jia Muzin standing there with his hands behind his back, he couldn't help but be surprised. Jia Yudo didn't say anything. His complexion was a bit ugly. Why did Jia Muzin suddenly come back? He had already prepared a secret weapon to let his son, Jia Tuyao, restrain Jia Huyan, and win the championship in one fell swoop. He didn't expect that there would be another competitor. Jia Jinyan, who was sitting in the middle of the conference table, was also a bit surprised. He gave Jia Muzin a meaningful look, then looked at Xiao Chun and the others behind him. His eyes flickered, as if he was pondering about something. Xiao Chun received Jia Jinyan's sharp gaze, but he didn't fight back. Instead, he lowered his head and remained silent. After all, this was Jia Muzin's home ground. He couldn't be too noisy and steal the spotlight. Moreover, the few people present were obviously experts, especially that old patriarch, who was even more immeasurable. It could be felt from his sharp eyes. Therefore, Xiao Chun didn't want to be too ostentatious, lest he and Jia Muzin got into unnecessary trouble. Hello, Grandpa. I took the liberty to come back. I hope Grandpa can forgive me. Jia Muzin first respectfully saluted Jia Jinyan. Jia Jinyan waved his hand, indicating that it was fine. Jia Muzin turned his head to Jia Yubian and Jia Yudo with a smile and said, Uncles, you two continue to talk. Don't ruin the atmosphere because of my appearance. By the way, where were we just now? Oh, you're going to choose a manager for the mine, right? I think Jia Hongyong is pretty good. I will vote for him. Presumptuous. You little bastard. You ran away from home without permission. I didn't argue with you for the sake of your father, but I didn't expect that you would actually dare to come back, and even use such a big tone to teach me a lesson? Jia Yubian was unable to restrain his anger. He heavily slammed the table and stood up. He coldly stared at Jia Muzin, ready to rush over and teach him a lesson at any time. What's wrong? Can't I come back? No matter what, I am still a member of the Jia family, and the blood of the Jia family flows in my body. Can't I give advice? Jia Muzin said with a smile that didn't seem like a smile. Or is it that this family is already your word, and those who oppose you will be killed? T. Jia Yubian's eyes almost popped out. He pointed at Jia Muzin and roared, Stop quarreling. Jia Yubian's insults had not yet left his mouth when Jia Jinyan suddenly shouted, Quarreling in the family meeting, where is the propriety? As the current patriarch, Jia Jinyan had always had an extremely high authority, but he rarely got angry. Now that he suddenly exploded, the originally noisy meeting room immediately quieted down. Chapter 10-11. Xiao Chun raised his eyebrows slightly. It seemed that Jia Jinyan was quite respected. All right, it's settled then. Jia Hongyong will temporarily take over the position of the mine's general manager. When the venerable realm opens, and the collection of spiritual jades comes to an end, we will arrange the follow-up matters. Jia Jinyan directly made the decision. Understood. All the descendants in the meeting room agreed in unison. No one dared to raise any objections. Even Jia Yubian could only reluctantly lower his head. Jia Jinyan stood up and swept his majestic gaze over everyone present. After his gaze swept over Jia Muzin's group, his gaze lingered on Xiao Chun for a while. He quickly regained his composure and patted Jia Muzin's shoulder. He very kindly said, Muzin, since you are back, go to your residence and have a good rest. The Interclans tournament is about to begin. Be prepared. All right, thank you, Grandpa. My friend and I will be leaving first. Jia Muzin nodded in thanks. He glanced at Jia Yubian and Jia Yubian before turning around and walking out of the meeting room with Xiao Chun and the others. Seeing Jia Muzin's smug expression, Jia Yubian could not help but gnash his teeth in anger. However, he could not do anything to Jia Muzin and could only watch him leave. Jia Yudo's eyes flickered as if he was thinking about something. Now that his son had another competitor, he had to think of a solution as soon as possible. After discussing a few more topics, Jia Jinyan hastily ended the meeting. He had been extremely busy these days. Whether it was the Interclans tournament or the opening of the Venerable Realm, he had to personally participate in them. Therefore, he could not be bothered to stay and listen to his two sons quarrel. After giving a few simple instructions, he hurriedly left. Huiyan, what's going on? Why is Mu's son still alive? Didn't I ask you to send people out as soon as possible and kill him while he is in the secular world? Jia Yubian angrily returned to his own courtyard. After thinking about it for a while, he still could not find the right answer. He called for Jia Huiyan and harshly reprimanded him. He is still alive? I thought he had died in the Heavenly Jade Mine. Jia Huiyan was a little confused by the scolding and muttered in confusion. He had just arrived home and didn't know that Jia Muzin had already returned to the Jia clan. The speed of the flying sword was much faster than that of a car. Nonsense! Not only is he still alive, but he even tried to intimidate me in front of that old thing, deliberately embarrassing me in front of everyone. As Jia Yu spoke, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. He asked in surprise, What did you just say? It seems like you already knew that he went to the Heavenly Jade Mine? Yeah. Didn't we issue a trial mission in the Wuling? He suddenly appeared and brought a few people to participate in the trial. I purposely put them in the dangerous area outside the mine, thinking that they would die there. I didn't expect. Sigh. What a blunder. Jia Huiyan shook his head gloomily and sighed helplessly. You little bastard. Why didn't you tell me earlier? If I had known earlier, I would have definitely sent someone over to keep them in the mine. Recalling the scene in the conference room, Jia Yu became angrier the more he thought about it. He gritted his teeth and said, Damn it, now even Jia Yutian has died inexplicably. I suspect that it was that guy who killed him secretly to target me. I thought it was not a big deal, so I didn't tell you in advance. I wanted to tell you when I came back. Jia Huiyan was stunned and asked in confusion, Jia Yutian is dead? It can't be that little bastard who did it, right? He is just a martial general in the Great Perfection. As far as I know, Jia Yutian is already a martial king in the Great Perfection. How could he be dead? How would I know? Jia Yu glared at Jia Huiyan and scolded angrily. You bastard, why don't you use your brain? Jia Muzin was suppressed to run away from home. Now that he dares to come back so brazenly, he must have something to rely on. Don't be fooled by the fact that this guy is wearing glasses and looks dumb. He is definitely not a rash person. Yes, I remember now. Speaking of someone to rely on, Jia Muzin does have a martial honorable helping him. He looks like a pretty boy and his name is Xiao Chen. Jia Yutian's death must be his doing. Jia Huiyan suddenly became alert and slapped his thigh in realization. Xiao Chen, a martial honorable helping him? Jia Yubian was incomparably shocked. He had also seen the person behind Jia Muzin just now. The only man should be Xiao Chen. He never thought that Xiao Chen would be a martial honorable at such a young age. Jia Yubian hurriedly pulled Jia Huiyan back and asked anxiously, What's the background of that Xiao Chen? I remember that Tang Yuansheng is also a level 1 martial honorable. If they were to fight during the clan's tournament, would there be any problems? I don't know about Xiao Chen's background, but you don't have to worry. Tang Yuansheng has reached the peak of level 1 martial honorable not long ago. He will be able to defeat Xiao Chen easily. Jia Huiyan waved his hand disapprovingly. That's good. Jia Yubian was relieved. He thought for a while and said, I'd better go and find out about Xiao Chen's background first, and see if there is a way to kill him secretly. After all, The situation in the clan's tournament is ever-changing. It's always good to have one less opponent. At that time, Tang Yuanxing will only need to deal with Jia Tuyao's helper. After saying that, Jia Yubian ordered his subordinates to gather information, and also asked them to find out the background of Jia Tuyao's external help. In today's family meeting, Jia Yudo was way too calm, as if he was sure that he would win, which was never the case before. Although Jia Yubian seemed to be hot-tempered and straightforward, he was actually a meticulous person. He treated his son's enemies very cautiously, and would not let go of any danger. If he could kill Xiao Chun, Tang Yuanxing could focus on dealing with Jia Tuyao's helper, which would save him a lot of trouble. As for Jia Yudo, he calmly went back to his own yard, called Jia Tuyao over, closed the door, and stayed in the yard for quite a few hours. As Jia Yudo had sent all the servants far away from the room, no one could hear what they were talking about until Jia Tuyao opened the door and left. Jia Yudo changed his clothes and ate his meal as usual, as if nothing had changed. After Xiao Chun and the others finished their dinner, Jia Muzin took them to the yard where he used to live. However, when he arrived at the gate, he found that the yard was brightly lit, as if someone else was living in it. Jia Muzin was surprised, pushed the gate open and walked in. However, after taking only 2 steps, he was shocked and couldn't move anymore. He almost thought that he had walked into the wrong place. He had only left for less than a year, but the layout of the yard had changed completely. Chapter 10:12. He saw that the plants and herbs he had planted in the garden had all been uprooted and replaced with many unknown gorgeous flowers and plants. The bookshelves in the room had also been moved out and thrown into the corner of the courtyard along with the books. The door of the room facing the courtyard was wide open. The place where the bookshelves had originally been was replaced by a leather sofa. A carefree young man was lying on the sofa. On the other side was a huge round bed. The light was dim, and the atmosphere was hazy. It was obvious that it was used to do bad things. Jia Qunyu, it's actually you. Who allowed you to live here? Jia Muzin took large strides forward and glared at the young man. His eyes were about to spit fire as he sternly questioned. In fact, Jia Muzin didn't need to ask to know that it was definitely Jia Huyan's doing. This Jia Qunyu was his errand boy. The core 3 generations of the Jia family were all named with metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Jia Huyan and Jia Tuyao were both like this. As for the other branch family members, they were given some insignificant names, such as Jia Qunyu, Jia Manu, etc., to show the identity of the Jia family members and distinguish them from each other. Jia Muzin was originally a direct descendant, but because his parents died early, he had no one to help him. That was why he was pushed from the core direct descendant to an errand boy. Although his name didn't change, his treatment was not as good as before. He was always bullied and humiliated by Jia Huyan. It was truly tragic. This courtyard was originally the place where Jia Muzin's father, Jia Yulin, lived. After the couple passed away, it was inherited to Jia Muzin. The courtyard was quite big and was in line with the standards of a direct descendant. However, after Jia Muzin left, it was directly occupied by Jia Qunyu. Jia Muzin's guess was right. Jia Qunyu had been instructed by Jia Huyan to swagger in. Otherwise, as a branch family member, he wouldn't dare to be so bold. Jia Musun. Jia Qunyu was lying on the sofa in a daze. He was startled by the sudden roar. He turned his head and was immediately stunned. "It's me, your grandfather." Jia Muzin pulled Jia Qunyu up from the sofa and said fiercely. Although Jia Qunyu was somewhat surprised by Jia Muzin's sudden appearance, he quickly reacted and pretended to be surprised as he mocked. "Oh, I really couldn't tell that our young master Musin actually dared to return home? Who was the one who offended young master Huyan and was tortured to the point where he would rather die than live, running away with his tail between his legs like a dying dog? Now that you've come back so boldly, I really want to know who gave you such courage? Are you not afraid of being stepped on by young master Huyan? Don't talk nonsense over there. Only the direct descendants of the Jia clan are qualified to live in this courtyard. You're just a lackey. What right do you have to be so carefree here? Get the hell out of here." Jia Muzin clenched his fists and said angrily, "Ha ha ha. Did I hear that right? You're really funny. Do you really think you're somebody? Jia Qingui smiled disdainfully. He stretched out his finger and poked Jia Muzin's chest, provoking him contemptuously. You said I'm a lackey? Why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? You're just a little bastard whose parents died. Even if you want to be young Master Huiyan's dog, you're not worthy. I advise you to quickly find young Master Huiyan and plead for leniency. Maybe he'll be merciful and give you a dog kennel to live in. Go *CK yourself, you big idiot. You really think you're somebody? Jia Muzin was about to retort when Xiao Chun, who was standing at the side, could not stand it anymore. He walked in front of Jia Qingui in a few steps and raised his hand to slap him on the head without using any yuan qi. Bang! Jia Qingui was directly sent flying. A scream was stifled in his throat. After spinning 2.5 times in the air, he fell heavily to the ground. The reason why he did not use yuan qi was because Xiao Chun was afraid that he would not be able to control it well. If he was not careful, he would accidentally beat someone to death like he did to Hong Dingrui previously. Normally, it was fine to beat someone to death. However, this was the Jia clan's territory. If he killed a Jia clan disciple, even if it was a branch family member, he would be in big trouble. Therefore, although Xiao Chun attacked in anger, he still held back his strength. Cough, cough, cough. You. Who the *CK are you? You dared to hit me? Are you tired of living? Jia Qingui felt dizzy from the slap. He struggled to stand up and coughed out a few mouthfuls of blood. He covered his face and tried to put on a show of bravado. Xiao Chun clapped his hands and slowly walked towards Jia Qingui. Jia Qingui was extremely flustered and kept retreating. He accidentally tripped over the stone steps on the side of the road and fell flat on his back. He did not stand up for a long time. Didn't you ask just now who gave Jia Muzin the courage to come back? Xiao Chun walked in front of Jia Qingui and squatted down. He grabbed his collar and stretched out his hand to slap his cheek. He said coldly, I don't mind telling you. This young master is the external helper that Jia Muzin invited. Now, you can go tell your dog master because it will be his turn soon. Jia Qingui's body trembled. He was suppressed by Xiao Chun's aura to the point that he could not say a word. He almost rolled his eyes. Xiao Chun released his grip and stood up. He waved his hand at Jia Muzin and said, Sorry, I lost control of my temper. I'll leave the rest to you. Jia Muzin looked at Xiao Chun gratefully. In fact, he knew that Xiao Chun was helping him out of a difficult situation. It had nothing to do with his temper. After taking a few steps forward, Jia Muzin kicked Jia Qingui out of the door. He said in a cold tone, Jia Qingui, I'll let you off today. Hurry up and scram. Don't dirty my place again, or I'll kill you. Bang! The door closed. Jia Qingui struggled to get up. He stared at the closed door for a long time, but he did not dare to act again. Xiao Chun was too powerful. He was not his opponent at all. The only thing he could do now was to run to Jia Huiyan to complain, and let him deal with Jia Muzin. Sorry, I've made a fool of myself in front of you. Jia Muzin shook his head helplessly as he looked at the completely changed room and courtyard. What nonsense are you saying? Everyone, let's help clean up. I haven't slept in a comfortable bed for several days. I must have a good sleep tonight. Xiao Chun patted Jia Muzin's shoulder. He smiled as he rolled up his sleeves and took the lead to clean up. That's right. Sister Saori saw that there's a guest room in the courtyard. Let's clean up the guest room as well. The Jia family is a big family. Even the bed in the guest room is comfortable to sleep in. Tian Saori said excitedly as he ran out of the door. Cheng Minjing did not know whether to laugh or cry. She was afraid that Tian Saori would not be able to help and instead cause trouble. She could only bid farewell to Xiao Chun and Jia Muzin and followed them out. Chapter 10:13. Linger and Ling Qianxue stayed in the room and helped Xiao Chun to tidy up. Everyone was either a cultivator or a cultivator, so it didn't take long for the whole room to look brand new. On the other side, Jia Inu covered his face and limped to Jia Huiyan's room. He pushed open the door and ran in. Before Jia Huiyan could ask anything, he started to complain. Young Master Huiyan, you have to help me. That little bastard didn't take you seriously at all. He even dared to beat me up. and even drove me out of the room that was specially left for me by you. He was slapping you in the face. Jia Qinsu knelt on the ground with a thud and complained with tears streaming down his face. What nonsense is this? Jia Huiyan looked at Jia Inu in confusion. He didn't understand what he meant. You are a man, why are you crying like this? Quickly stand up and speak properly. What the hell happened? Young Master Huiyan, don't you know? Jia Muzin is back. Not only did he get someone to beat me up, but he also drove me out of his courtyard. You promised to give me that courtyard. Isn't he clearly going against you? Jia Kushu wiped his tears and snot and pleaded bitterly. Who can tolerate this? You have to help me. Otherwise, I won't have a place to stay tonight. King deserved it. Jia Huiyan finally understood what had happened. He was so angry that he slapped Jia Inu and scolded. If he wants to stay, just give him the house. Why are you arguing with him? He brought back a venerable expert. Can you afford to offend him? Besides, it's the middle of the night. Where am I going to find someone to teach them a lesson? It wasn't that Jia Huiyan didn't want to teach Jia Muzin a lesson. However, Xiao Chun was a level 1 venerable. He couldn't beat him. He couldn't possibly run to Tang Yuansheng for help just because his lackey was injured, right? That would be too embarrassing. Then what should I do? Won't I have to sleep on the streets? Jia Inu was dumbfounded. Don't you have your own room? Go back and live there first, don't be picky. Jia Huiyan thought for a while and comforted him. Don't be too anxious. My father is already thinking of ways to deal with them. Wasn't the tournament about to begin? Once this matter was over, Jia Muzin and his helper would be dead and gone. You can go back when the time comes. Alright, that's the only way. Jia Qinchu was very helpless, but he also knew how to judge the situation. Even his master was enduring silently, so how could he go up and ask for a beating? He could only agree gloomily. After bidding farewell to Jia Huiyan, Jia Kushu helplessly turned around and walked back to his shabby house. His back view was extremely miserable. It was a silent night. The next morning, Xiao Chun and the girls finished their dual cultivation and went to find Jia Muzin in high spirits to eat breakfast together. Xiao Chun was a little depressed recently. His cultivation level had been stuck at the peak of the golden core stage for a long time, and he had been unable to break through to the nascent soul stage. He didn't know what the problem was. The peak of the golden core stage was the level of the venerable stage. At most, he could fight against an opponent at the peak of the first or second level of the venerable stage. This meant that his current situation was still a little dangerous. There were many martial arts experts in the inner world. For example, the Jia family's patriarch, Jia Jinyan, had a profound strength that he couldn't see through. If he was careless and encountered multiple venerable stage experts, it was very likely that it would be difficult for him to escape. Originally, he hoped that Elder Heaven Ancestor could give him some pointers. However, Xiao Chun tried to call out a few times, but Elder Heaven Ancestor didn't reply at all. He didn't know what he was busy with. In desperation, Xiao Chun could only give up. As Xiao Chun and the others were having breakfast, a Jia clan disciple walked over and said respectfully, "Young Master Musan, please gather in the conference room after you and your external helpers have your breakfast. The Jia clan's patriarch is preparing to announce the rules and events of the upcoming clan tournament." Alright, we'll go now. Jia Muzin nodded and tried his best to stuff food into his mouth. Hey, wait a moment. The disciple turned around and was about to leave when Tian Souring suddenly called out to him. Then can Sister Souring and the other sisters go? I've never participated in a clan's tournament before. The disciple looked troubled and didn't say anything for a moment. Souring, don't make things difficult for him. Xiao Chun smiled and shook his head. You're not an external aid, why would you go? To cause trouble? How do you know that I'm going to cause trouble? Tian Sour pouted, looking unhappy. Four Eyes looked so confused. What if he's tricked by someone? There's no good person in this kind of big clan. The disciple's head was almost touching the ground. He wanted to cover his ears and pretend that he didn't hear what Tian Souring said just now. Alright, Souring. Cheng Minjing smiled and pulled her. Don't we have Xiao Chun here? He'll protect Jia Muzin. You don't have to worry. That's right. This is a clan's tournament. There must be a lot of people. Let's not go and continue cultivating here. Ling blinked her eyes at Tian Souring. Ling Qinxue also nodded gently. Fine, I won't go. Sister Souring doesn't care. Tian Souring actually knew that she shouldn't go, but she was stubborn and didn't want to admit defeat. The disciple felt as if he had been pardoned. He quickly bowed and left Jia Muzin's courtyard as if he was escaping. Menjing, let's go. You guys stay here and cultivate. Xiao Chen finished his breakfast and walked to the meeting room with Jia Muzin. Jia Muzin was silent along the way. Although he looked relaxed, he was inevitably a little nervous. Relax and follow your heart. As long as you try your best, it's fine. Xiao Chen saw that Jia Muzin was a little strange. He patted him on the shoulder and comforted him with a smile. Moreover, you have me as your external help. I understand. Jia Muzin nodded and took a deep breath. He got rid of the distracting thoughts in his heart and immediately felt a lot more relaxed. However, although Xiao Chen spoke tough, he was also a little nervous. On one hand, it was because Jia Muzin was his friend. Although Jia Muzin gave him a guarantee, he was also worried that his strength was not enough. After all, he had never fought with a venerable expert. He didn't know if he could win just by relying on the one-sided words of the elder heaven ancestor. On the other hand, the Jia clan was an important entry point for Xiao Chen to find his father. Therefore, he must not fail. Otherwise, even if he was lucky enough to survive the competition, without the rights of the young master, it would be difficult to find out the whereabouts of his father in the future. Naturally, there would be a certain amount of psychological pressure. After taking a deep breath, Xiao Chen followed Jia Muzin and pushed open the door of the meeting room. Chapter 10:14. Jia Muzin discovered that everyone else had arrived, but he was the last to arrive. He felt a bit embarrassed and humbly apologized to Jia Jinyan. Then he silently stood to the side. Since everyone is here, I will briefly say a few words about the family competition that will start tomorrow. Jia Jinyan glanced at Jia Muzin and slightly nodded. He didn't blame him and signaled him to quickly find a place to sit. At this time, there were already many people in the conference room. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Jia Muzin embarrassedly found 2 seats at the back and sat down with Xiao Chen. Jia Huiyan hatefully glared at Jia Muzin. Beside him, aside from Jia Yubian, there was also a man with a gloomy face and a sharp nose like an eagle's hook. Presumably, this man was the external helper of the Tang family. On the other hand, Jia Tuyao and Jia Yudo were looking straight ahead, as if they didn't see Jia Muzin at all. Sitting next to them was a middle-aged man who had his head lowered and didn't say a word. His side profile looked ordinary, without any special features. Ordinary people would forget his face after taking a glance at him. There were many people sitting or standing in the conference room. Basically, they were all collateral descendants of the family. Among them, Jia Tsugu had 2 big dark circles under his eyes, and he looked at Jia Muzin with resentment. Seeing that Jia Muzin had already sat down, Jia Jinyan looked around the conference room and said in a deep voice, "From tomorrow onwards, the Jia family's family competition will officially start. The whole competition will be divided into 3 rounds, and all of them will be based on the point system. The direct descendant who wins will get 1 point, and the loser will not get any points. The points of the 3 rounds will be added up, and the direct descendant who gets the highest points will become the next successor of the family. The loser will automatically become the next elder." Jia Jinyan unhurriedly took a sip of tea and continued. In addition, in this competition, the collateral descendants can also participate in challenges. If they win, they will get elder points. The point system is the same as the direct descendants, and the one who gets the highest points will also become the next elder. In this competition, a total of 1 successor of the family and 3 successors of the elders will be selected. Do you all understand? Everyone present nodded to show that they understood. However, to Jia Jinyan's surprise, someone suddenly raised his right hand, indicating that he had something to say. That person was Jia Huiyan. He stared fiercely at Jia Muzin, then raised his hand with a dissatisfied look. "Huiyan, what question do you have?" Jia Jinyan was slightly stunned and asked. Could it be that he didn't understand such a simple competition system? Grandpa, I want to know if a direct descendant who leaves the family without permission, can he still be counted as a member of the Jia family? Is he still qualified to participate in the family competition? As soon as Jia Huiyan opened his mouth, he pointed the spearhead at Jia Muzin. He hoped to use this reason to disqualify Jia Muzin from the competition. If this move succeeded, he would have one less opponent, and his chances of becoming the successor would be greatly increased. Jia Jingyan instantly understood Jia Huiyan's intention. He looked at the two of them with a profound look in his eyes, and said without any hesitation, as long as his surname is Jia, and the blood of the Jia clan flows in his body, he is naturally a member of the Jia clan. Furthermore, he is qualified to participate in the tournament. Jia Jingyan was not deliberately biased towards Jia Muzin. He also wanted to select the most outstanding person, so that he could be at ease in handing over the family. At that time, Jia Muzin had left in anger. In fact, Jia Jingyan was a little disappointed. Now that he had returned proudly, he naturally had a strong enough trump card. Since that was the case, why not give him a chance? Huiyan, do you have any other questions? Jia Jingyan asked kindly. This is all. Jia Huiyan clenched his fists and answered unwillingly. Since his grandfather had agreed, then there was no point in pestering him anymore. Otherwise, it would not be good to annoy his grandfather and leave a bad impression. Jia Yudo and Jia Tiao both threw a scornful glance at Jia Huiyan, then grinned at each other, feeling that Jia Huiyan was a complete idiot. He simply wouldn't ask such a stupid question. If Jia Jingyan didn't agree to Jia Muzin's participation, then he would have already issued an order to Jia Muzin. How could a clown like Jia Huiyan stand up and protest today? Then I will continue. If you have any questions, go through them in your mind. Think about it carefully, then raise your hand and speak. Jia Jingyan was obviously also dissatisfied, so he specifically pointed out this sentence. Jia Huiyan's face turned red and then white. He stared at Jia Muzin with eyes that were almost green. He pushed all the blame to Jia Muzin. If Jia Muzin didn't suddenly come back, my grandfather wouldn't have criticized me. Jia Jingyan continued blandly. The contents of the three competitions are different, and the abilities tested are also different. The specific rules and conditions for winning will be announced before the competition. You need to note that the first two competitions can be participated together, with external help. In the third competition, the external help can't interfere. Otherwise, it will be regarded as a forfeit. Everyone nodded and took note of it in their hearts. Many of them began to guess what kind of tests there would be, and what kind of competition they would be good at to obtain points in. Ahem. After everyone discussed for a while, Jia Jingyan cleared his throat, and the conference room immediately quieted down. Jia Jingyan took out a name list from his bosom, lowered his head and read, "Next, I will announce the name list of the participants. The direct descendants are Jia Huiyan, Jia Tiao, and Jia Muzin. The collateral descendants are Jia Renzhong, Jia Gaoqi, Jia Shoshi, Jia Shirlei, and Jia Raijing. The above descendants in your external help will depart from the Jia family tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock and head to the Heavenly Jade Mine. The competition will begin at 8 o'clock sharp. The specific details of each competition will be announced before the competition begins. Do you all understand?" "Understood." The people whose names were called responded in unison. "Good. This family meeting will end here. You all can go back and rest. Rest up and prepare for the upcoming competition. I look forward to your good performance." Jia Jingyan put away the name list, nodded, stood up, and announced the adjournment of the meeting. Then he left the conference room alone. Jia Yubian and Jia Huiyan also stood up and looked at Jia Muzin with ridicule. Their pitiful eyes clearly regarded him as a dead man. Then they swaggered out. Their external help with a hooked nose also left. Jia Kuanggu also followed suit and glared at Jia Muzin, before chasing after Jia Huiyan. "Musan, wait a moment." Jia Muzin pretended to turn a blind eye, and was about to leave with Xiao Chun. Suddenly, he heard someone call him from behind. He turned around, and saw that it was Jia Tuyao. "I heard that you found a very powerful external help. No wonder you dare to come back and participate in the competition," Jia Tuyao said as he walked over. With a smile that made people feel as if they were bathing in the spring breeze, he said, "What? Won't you introduce me? Look at you. You still treat me as an outsider, haha." Chapter 10:15. This is Xiao Chen. He's my classmate at Lanqing University. Jia Muzhen couldn't figure out what Jia Tuyao was trying to do, so he could only point at Xiao Chen and make a simple introduction. "Nice to meet you. I am Jia Muzhen's cousin, Jia Tuyao. Brother Xiao, may I know which martial school you are from? Who did you learn from?" Jia Tuyao still smiled innocently, then reached out his hand enthusiastically, wanting to shake hands with Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen didn't refuse, but shook hands with Jia Tuyao casually. He knew that Jia Tuyao wanted to know more about him, so he didn't care and said blandly, "Oh, Brother Jia, you flatter me. I am just an unknown individual cultivator in the secular world, not a martial artist. Sorry to disappoint you." "I see." Jia Tuyao was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Xiao Chen was from the secular world, but soon he changed his mind. He thought that Xiao Chen must be lying, and didn't want to tell him the truth. How could there be high-level cultivators in the secular world? Wasn't this nonsense? Therefore he said calmly, "Brother Xiao, you are too modest. As far as I know, Jia Huyan's helper has reached the peak of the first level of the Venerable Realm. It seems that you are not weak either. Otherwise, you wouldn't have taken such a big risk to help Mu Senator, am I right?" "Brother Jia, you flatter me. With my low strength, I can only rank second in the world. I don't dare to guarantee other things, but it won't be a problem for me to help Mu Senior." Xiao Chen shrugged and said lightly, "Ha ha ha. I didn't know that Brother Xiao was so humorous. Since you are the second in the world, who is the first in the world?" Jia Tuyao let out a couple of laughs, but in his heart, he had already cursed Xiao Chen's ancestors over and over again. This guy was too arrogant. "The second in the world? I think you can be ranked second in the world. You are so stupid. Do you still need to ask? Of course, the first in the world is my master. He can casually move his fingers, not to mention the internal martial arts world. I guess the entire Milky Way will be turned upside down," Xiao Chen said as if it was a matter of course. "Haha, since Brother Xiao has said so, I'll have to wait and see. Don't let me down." Jia Tuyao finally couldn't keep the friendly expression on his face anymore. He forced a smile and said, "Originally, he planned to look for Jia Muzhen to work together and kill Jia Huyan first. However, after witnessing Xiao Chen's prodigy, he decisively dispelled this thought. Of course, Jia Tuyao didn't have good intentions. He wanted to stand on the same side as Jia Muzhen. He just thought that he should buy some people's hearts first, and after he got rid of Jia Huyan, it would be much easier for him to deal with Jia Muzhen. Okay. I see you again tomorrow." Xiao Chen, I Tianhua. I Chen Yu I Jia Yu Yao I Tian I Chen Yuan Tian Yuam Chen Yu Tian Yu Xiao Chen Yu Xiao Chen Xiao Chen Chen Jia Xiao Chen Xiao Chen Jia Xiao Yao Chen Jia Yao. "Tiao, how is it going? Have you found out anything about that guy?" Jia Yudo asked in a low voice when Jia Tuyao walked up to him. "That guy is called Xiao Chen. He said that he is from the secular world, and he doesn't admit that he has a master or a sect. I think he is just an idiot crazy, and doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. He is completely useless." Jia Tuyao curled his lips disdainfully. "Don't jump to conclusions. Since he is able to participate in the family competition, he is definitely not easy to deal with. Later, I will ask other sects to see if anyone knows that guy surnamed Xiao." Jia Yudo frowned and said with a slight reproach, "Father, thank you for your advice. I understand." Jia Tuyao nodded. Suddenly he thought of something. Seeing that there were only 3 of them in the meeting room, he said carefully, "Father, since we are going to the Heaven Jade Mine tomorrow, we are going to collect spirit jades, right? This competition seems to be a bit disadvantageous for us. First of all, we don't have any resources, and we are not familiar with the environment of the mine. It seems a bit difficult for us to get the first place. Don't worry, I have already planned it," Jia Yudo said with an evil smile on his face. "Tomorrow, you find a place to relax. When the time is almost up, ask Bai Songyan to go and directly rob their spirit jades. Anyway, The family leader didn't say that we can't rob others. Originally, Jia Yudo thought that since Jia Yutian was dead, he could ask one of his subordinates to replace Jia Yutian and provide spirit jades to Jia Tuyao in the name of discussion. Unfortunately, due to a strange combination of factors, he failed, so he had to think of another way to rob. That's a good idea. At that time, we can rob Jia Huiyan's spirit jades first, then we can rob Jia Muzin's spirit jades as well. That way, we will definitely get the first place. Jia Tuyao clapped his hands excitedly. Is it a good idea to rob them directly? What if they find out? Bai Songyan was Jia Tuyao's external help. At this moment, he looked a bit hesitant. He was just an external help. If he got into a conflict with other families because of robbing, he might not be able to explain it to them when he returned. Don't worry, when you rob with your face covered, who can recognize you? Jia Yudo waved his hand and said carelessly, just do whatever you want. As long as you can help Tuyao become the family leader, you will definitely get lots of benefits. Jia Tuyao added with an evil smile on his face. Besides, you look so ordinary. No one can find you in a pile of people. Even if you are found, they won't remember your face and won't know who you are. Okay, I'll do as you say. Bai Songyan thought for a while and felt that what Jia Yudo said was reasonable, so he agreed without hesitation. The next day, at 8 o'clock in the morning, all the participants gathered outside the Heaven Jade Mine on time. Jia Jingyan announced that the competition was indeed to collect spirit jades. After everyone's mining tools were distributed, Jia Jingyan pointed at the tables and chairs by the door, saying that this was a collection point, and everyone could come back at any time to pay the spirit jades and record the result. The competition would end at 6 o'clock in the evening, and the spirit jades would be counted by caddies, and 1 point for every caddy. After everyone understood the rules, following Jia Jingyan's order, everyone rushed into the mine with their equipment and rations, and started the first round of the competition. Jia Huiyan took the lead and entered the mine. He seemed to be quite confident that he could win, as he took Tang Yuansheng and ran towards the west without even looking back. Behind him, Jia Kushi and another disciple of a branch family followed him. Jia Tuyao and Jia Muzin walked into the mine at the same time. Seeing Jia Huiyan walking towards the west, they glanced at each other. Both were a bit confused. However, Jia Tuyao didn't hesitate either. He took Bai Songyan and the other 2 disciples of a branch family and directly turned around and walked towards the northwest. Chapter 10:16. In the end, there was only one collateral descendant left. He looked left and right, then chose to leave by himself. Seeing that the crowd couldn't wait to leave, in the blink of an eye, only Jia Muzin and Xiao Chun were left at the gate. Xiao Chun looked at the direction where Jia Tuyao and Jia Huiyan left, and wondered, what's going on? I remember that's not the location of the main mining area. These 2 idiots actually went in that direction, and they even brought so many people with them. Could it be that they are plotting something? I forgot to tell you before. Among the 5 collateral descendants who are participating in the competition, 4 of them have their own factions. Among them, Jia Kushi and Jia Sholuo are Jia Huiyan's henchmen, while Jia Shirlei and Jia Raijing are Jia Tuyao's followers. That's why they are following their own master, Jia Muzin explained and said. As for what they are plotting, I don't know. Jia Kushi, Jia Shirlei? Haha, I say, the names of your family are really interesting. Except for Huiyan, the rest are all triplets. If they were punished to write their names 100 times, they probably wouldn't be able to finish writing until dawn. Xiao Chun joked with a smile. In fact, when Jia Huiyan was a child, he also used triplets, but I don't know why he changed it later. Maybe he wanted to show that he is different from others. Jia Muzin shrugged. TSK, your family head is really ahead of the times. He knows that important things should be said 3 times. So after saying one word, he repeated it 3 times, and then folded it into one word. Xiao Chun had a look of worship on his face. All right, don't make fun of us. Jia Muzin smiled bitterly. Then the person who just left should be the remaining collateral descendant. What's his name? Why doesn't he belong to any faction? Xiao Chun turned his head to look at the other side and asked in surprise. Oh, that person is called Jia Renzhong, the deputy manager of the mine. Currently, he is the nephew of the acting manager, Jia Hongyong. Usually, he is quite a loner, and he doesn't seem to have any relationship with anyone. Jia Muzin casually replied. Ah, the nephew of the manager can also participate in the competition? Is he also a collateral descendant of the Jia clan? Xiao Chun was a little surprised. Yes, his parents are also from the same family, but their relationship is a little distant. He can be considered as my cousin. Jia Muzin nodded his head and said with a slight sigh. Unfortunately, when Jia Renzhong was still young, both of his parents passed away due to illness. Since then, he has always been ostracized by those branch family members. Therefore, he often follows Jia Hongyong. I'm usually busy with cultivation, so I can't be considered familiar with him. So that's how it is. Xiao Chun looked in the direction that Jia Renzhong had left. His eyes flashed as if he was thinking about something. He's quite similar to you. Let's not talk about others. Let's hurry up and think about the match. Jia Muzin's face collapsed as he said with a headache. I don't think we have any chance of winning this match. How did he get so many spiritual jades in such a short time? Even if he dug until the sky turned dark, it would still be useless. Moreover, the shallow layer of the main mining area has already been excavated. Where are we going to dig? That's a big problem. What's so difficult about that? Xiao Chun smiled and patted Jia Muzin's shoulder. He reminded him. Did you forget that there were still a lot of spiritual jades in the cave of the giant demon spider last time? We just have to dig out the rest of the stock, and it should be enough. That's right. How could I forget about this? Come, let's hurry up and dig. Jia Muzin slapped his forehead and couldn't wait to run in a certain direction. After running for 2 steps, he stopped and turned his head to look at Xiao Chun, who was standing at the same spot. That seems a little far. The two of them were now at the entrance of the Jia clan's heavenly jade mine. It was not the entrance at the periphery of the mine. The distance between the two sides was very far, and it was estimated that they wouldn't be able to reach it even if they ran until the sky turned dark. Xiao Chun shook his head and smiled. He pulled Jia Muzin forward until the people stationed at the entrance of the mine couldn't see them. Then he took out his flying sword. The two of them soared into the sky and flew in the direction of the demon spider's cave. Quickly arriving at the cave, the two of them began to dig out the spiritual jades without stopping. Jia Muzin tried his best to win, while Xiao Chun was full of energy. Yesterday, he had cultivated for a whole night. For today's competition, he had even stopped fighting with Ling and Ling Qianxue, and was teased by Tian Suruan. Today, the girls stayed at the Jia clan obediently and didn't come to make trouble. Jia Muzin's courtyard was a symbol of his status as a direct disciple. Generally, no one would come to harass him, so his safety could be guaranteed. Xiao Chun told Cheng Minjing to take care of the remaining 3 little sisters, and to call him if anything happened. After digging hard for the whole morning, the two of them indeed got out a lot of spiritual jades. After counting them carefully, they found that there were 65 pieces, which had been piled up into a small mound. The two of them thought that since it was too far from the storage point, they couldn't go back and forth on foot. They could only rely on flying swords to transport the spiritual jades. Therefore, they should first wrap up these spiritual jades and send them back, so that they wouldn't be able to transport them in time. Without hesitation, the two of them immediately emptied the things in their bags and put all the spiritual jades into them. Then, they stepped on their flying swords and flew toward the storage point outside the gate of the heavenly jade mine. When they arrived at the forest near the gate, Xiao Chun pressed down on his flying swords. The two of them carried their bags and came out of the forest, walking toward the storage point. Unexpectedly, Jia Huiyan was already waiting outside the gate. He was leisurely chatting with others when he suddenly saw Jia Muzin and Ling Qianxue coming out with 2 bags full of spiritual jades. Immediately, his expression changed, and he found it hard to believe. Dong! Dong! Jia Muzin and Xiao Chun walked to the front of the storage table and put down their bags, making 2 heavy sounds. The staff in charge of counting immediately opened the bags and began to count. Jia Muzin currently has 65 spiritual jades. Not long after, the staff reported the number of spiritual jades. Jia Jingyan's eyes flashed, and he smiled at Jia Muzin. He nodded and recorded it on the list. Aren't we going to weigh them? Jia Muzin asked with a little doubt. First, record the number. Finally, after the end of the competition, we will weigh them. The staff replied with a smile. Oh, not bad. Did you two get lucky? You actually dug up so many spiritual jades. Jia Huoyan's originally surprised expression immediately relaxed after hearing the number. He sarcastically said from the side. Jia Muzin coldly looked at him and didn't reply. Instead, he continued to pack up his bags. Jia Huoyan didn't plan to let him go just like that. He continued to ridicule him with a smile that wasn't a smile. However, compared to the spiritual jades this young master has obtained, it is still far from enough. You two hardworking miners continue to work hard. There are still many spiritual jades inside waiting for you to excavate. Ha ha ha. Chapter 1017. When Jia Muzin heard Jia Huoyan's mockery, he subconsciously looked at the registration form. He discovered that Jia Huoyan's column in front of him had 67 written on it. You dug out 67 pieces of spiritual jades? Jia Muzin was very shocked. He and Xiao Chen had been busy for an entire morning. They had turned the entire cave upside down, and they had only found 65 pieces of spiritual jade. This Jia Huoyan seemed to have arrived a long time ago, and he actually had 2 more than them. It's just 2 more pieces. Why are you so cocky? Xiao Chen looked at Jia Huoyan in disdain. I can find 2 pieces just by looking around on the ground. Have you become stupid from exhaustion? What do you know? The best is yet to come. Jia Huoyan proudly shook his head. He raised his nose and said, Didn't you guys notice that I'm missing a person? Isn't it just missing a foreign aid? I think he died of exhaustion on the road. Xiao Chen rolled his eyes. Jia Huoyan stood there alone. He didn't know what kind of intelligence he was showing off. TSK, I don't mind telling you. My foreign aid is still digging out spiritual jades. I estimate there's still about 100 pieces. Jia Huoyan proudly said. All right, I can't be bothered to chat with you idiots. I'll go and help him. You guys can continue to stare blankly here. In any case, the first place doesn't have much to do with you guys. Oh, it's only 100 pieces and you're already so cocky. You really don't have any future prospects. I forgot to tell you. Actually, we also have a few hundred pieces that we haven't dug out. These 65 pieces are only a part of it. As soon as Jia Huoyan's voice fell, Xiao Chen immediately retorted. Ha ha ha. Continue pretending. You too trash. If you can really beat this young master, then I'll eat all the spiritual jades that you took out. Jia Huoyan looked up to the sky and laughed. He snorted at Xiao Chen's words. He felt that this guy was simply putting up a front. What few hundred pieces of spiritual jades? If he could really take them out, why would he be standing there in a daze? 65 was probably their limit. Oh, that's what you said. If you can't eat it, I'll stuff it into your ass. Xiao Chen sneered. Jia Huoyan was startled for a moment, then immediately determined that he was still bluffing and wanted to scare him. He waved his hand disapprovingly and said, You can continue to stand here and brag. This young master is leaving. After saying that, he turned around and left. Xiao Chen disapprovingly curled his lips and winked at Jia Muzin. Musun, Let's go and take out the rest of the spirit jades. Oh, right, buy a bottle of ketchup or chili sauce. Don't let young Master Huiyin think the taste is too bland and shamelessly say that he can't eat it. Jia Muzin stared blankly for a moment before gritting his teeth and nodding his head. He then followed Xiao Chen into the mine and walked towards the forest they had come from. Along the way, neither of them spoke. It was only after they had walked a few hundred meters and entered the forest that Jia Muzin turned to Xiao Chen and said, "Forget it, Xiao Chen. Let's admit defeat this time. Where are we going to get a few hundred pieces of spirit jades in just half a day? Don't worry, there are still 2 more matches. We still have a chance." "Why are you so pessimistic?" Xiao Chen did not have Jia Muzin's dispirited feeling at all. He very naturally said, "Why don't we go to the main mining area to get the spirit jades?" Main mining area? Jia Muzin did not react for a moment and asked in surprise, "How can there be spirit jades in the main mining area? The surface layer has already been mined out by the miners. The deeper layer is very difficult to find, even more troublesome than the demon spider cave. Why do we have to mine it ourselves?" Xiao Chen analyzed with a smile. "Didn't that Jia Hongyong fawn over you? Let's go directly to him. Although we might not get a few hundred pieces, it doesn't matter how much we get. We won't lose so badly. Don't you think so?" This he probably won't agree, right? After all, those are the Jia family's resources. Without the family head's order, he can't arbitrarily transfer them. Jia Muzin repeatedly waved his hand. Otherwise, if someone accidentally finds out, he will definitely be expelled from the Jia family. Jia Muzin did not want to cause Jia Hongyong to bear the family law, just because he wanted to fight for the successor. This was not his style of doing things. Why are you so stubborn? If you can win the match, you can smoothly become the family head. Then how can he be considered as arbitrarily transferring? It should be considered as having been authorized by the family head to use the spirit jades. Xiao Chen patiently guided him. This. Jia Muzin was stunned. It sounded like what he said was very reasonable. I was actually speechless, but I still felt that something was not quite right. Xiao Chen simply took out his flying sword and directly pulled Jia Muzin onto it. He hurriedly said, "There's no time to lose, let's set off now." "Wait." Before Jia Muzin could refuse, Xiao Chen rode the flying sword and soared into the sky. With a whoosh sound, it broke through the air in the direction of the main mining area. Jia Huiyan had just walked a few steps when he wanted to look back to see if Jia Muzin and the others had already left. He found that only Jia Jinyan and the stocktaker were left at the entrance of the mining area. Feeling bored, he touched his nose and turned his head. At the moment he turned his head, he suddenly saw a flash of light in the sky. He could not help but exclaim, "Holy crap! I can actually see a meteor in broad daylight." The flying sword, which was mistaken for a meteor, quickly disappeared into the distance. Jia Huiyan was puzzled when his phone suddenly rang. He took it out and looked at the number. Seeing that it was one of his people, he pressed the answer button. "Hello, where are you? What are you dawdling about?" "Young Master Huiyan, Hand Puppet and I are already on the way. You should first find a place to rest for a while. I estimate that we will arrive in less than half an hour." On the other end of the phone, Jia Jinyu's flattering voice was heard. "Got it. Then when you are about to reach the main gate, give me a call. I will find a place nearby to sleep for a while." Jia Huiyan hung up the phone and found a shady place where Jia Jinyan could not see. He brushed off the dust and lay down. He stretched his body comfortably and closed his eyes. Not long after, he fell asleep. Jia Jinyu put away his phone and said to Jia Jinyu, "Our young Master Huiyan is still the best. He quietly organized so many people to dig for spiritual jades and surpassed others in minutes. It seems that we followed the right person." Jia Jinyu pushed the cart with both hands and said proudly, "Isn't that so? Those fools who came to participate in the trial were also very easy to deceive. We just gave them some benefits, and they got the spiritual jades. They were even grateful to us. I think that the successor of the patriarch this time is none other than young Master Huiyan." Jia Jinyu looked at the 3 bulging bags on the cart and sighed sincerely. "Of course. You say, how can young Master Huiyan's brain be so flexible? He can actually think of a way to make people from outside the Wulin do the trial task. Unlike Jia Tuyao and Jia Muzin, these two idiots, who are still diligently digging for spiritual jades. Chapter 10:18. You two little bastards, stop right there. Jia Sholing was about to say something when a familiar voice suddenly came from behind them. The two of them quivered and hurriedly turned around. They saw Jia Tuyao standing not too far away from them, with his arms crossed and a pair of cold eyes staring at them. Beside him was Bai Songyan, who was his helper. Both of them were so scared that their legs softened, and they nearly kneeled down. Jia Tuyao coldly stared at them and asked word by word, "Who did you just call an idiot? And what's with these spirit jades?" 2. Young Master Tuyao, why are you here? Jia Kechu was the first one to react. He asked with a humble and cautious look. Jia Tuyao knitted his eyebrows and said in a deep voice, "Don't say those useless things. I asked you a question. Are you deaf or something? Do you want me to repeat myself? Or cut off your ears to see if they're damaged?" No. This has nothing to do with us. Young Master Huyan asked us to. Hearing Jia Tuyao say that he wanted to cut off his ears, Jia Sholing quivered in fear. He was about to tell Jia Huyan's whole plan to Jia Tuyao. But Jia Kechu stealthily pulled his arm and stopped in time. "Young Master Tuyao, we dug out these spirit jades for young Master Huyan. We all voluntarily gave up the game and took these spirit jades to help young Master Huyan. We didn't violate the rules of the game." Jia Kechu hesitated for a second, then forced a smile and said, "When we said that idiot, we were talking about ourselves." Before Jia Kun-chu could finish his sentence, he saw a slap coming towards him from afar. In an instant it covered his face. "Ah!" Jia Kechu screamed out, and was sent flying away. He thudded heavily on the ground, and vomited a mouthful of blood. "Damn it, are you stupid or do you think I'm stupid? How dare you lie through your teeth?" Jia Tuyao took a few steps forward, fiercely spat on Jia Kechu's face, then turned around and glared at Jia Sholing. Jia Tuyao was so scared that he nearly peed his pants. Before, Jia Tuyao had always been a kind, gentle and well-mannered man in the family. But now, he had actually shown such a hideous face. The strong contrast between Jia Tuyao and Jia Tuyao made Jia Tuyao feel cold from head to toe. Jia Tuyao didn't know what was on Jia Shou Luo's mind. He impatiently pointed his finger at Jia Shou Luo and threatened, "Hurry up and tell me, or I will kill you. Then, you'll go to grandfather and complain about it. Not only will you not die unjustly, but your entire family will also die." Young Master Tuyao, this was all ordered by young Master Huyan. It has nothing to do with us. Here's the thing. Jia Shou Luo told Ji how everything in detail with a sobbing tone. As it turned out, the trial mission that brought Jia Muzin, Xiao Chun, and the others into the inner martial arts world was organized by Jia Yubian and Jia Huayan. As an elder of the family, Jia Yubian had learned about the contents of the family competition in advance through various channels. Therefore, he organized this trial mission, which involved collecting spirit jades, in order to take all the spirit jades dug out by those cultivators from the outer martial arts world and the secular world, and take them as his own. Because he was the one who had the final say in the Heaven Jade Mine, no one would doubt him. And Jia Huyan could also prepare enough spirit jades in advance. However, what was out of Jia Huyan's expectation was that the weight of the spirit jades was not the number of pieces, but it didn't make any difference to Jia Huyan. After all, he had the most pieces, and the weight would definitely be far ahead of the others. Jia Yubian had vaguely guessed the contents of the trial mission. Therefore, after Jia Yutian died in a strange way, he tried every possible way to occupy the mine and gain resources. Unfortunately, because of Jia Muzin's appearance, his plan failed, and he had to give up on this way. "I was wondering how you could get so many spirit jades. It turns out that you all relied on such despicable means." Jia Tuyao's tone was filled with righteous indignation, but his eyes were filled with greed as he looked at the pile of spirit jades on the cart. "Young Master Tuyao, we were just following young Master Huyan's orders. We couldn't do anything about it." Jia Sholing mumbled with a bitter face. He was the most timid one among all the collateral disciples of the Jia family. Anyone who wanted to get the things in his hands could easily get it as long as they scared him a little. Jia Tuyao wasn't too interested in bullying a weak chicken. He waved his hand and said, "All right, since you are willing to tell the truth, I will spare your lowly lives today. Leave all these spirit jades, then get the hell out of here." This, Jia Shouling glanced at the cart, then glanced at Jia Tuyao with a hesitant look on his face. Young Master Huiyan wants these spirit jades. If young Master Tuyao takes them away, will I be criticized? What? Are your ears damaged? Do you want me to cut them off and check them for you? Jia Tuyao's face darkened as he saw that Jia Shouling didn't want to leave, and said in a gloomy tone, "No need. Thank you, young Master Tuyao. We are leaving now. We are leaving now." Jia Shouling trembled once again, shook his head, thanked Jia Tuyao, and hurriedly held Jia Kunshu up from the ground, then dragged him and staggered away. After Jia Tuyao and Jia Tuyao disappeared in the distance, Jia Tuyao's gloomy face turned bright again, and he happily started checking the spirit jades in the cart. At this moment he was so happy. This time, he had not only caught Jia Huiyan's weakness, but also obtained so many spirit jades. It seemed that he didn't need to rob Jia Muzin anymore. That Tunpo and that arrogant fool didn't have any resources, so they wouldn't be able to get so many spirit jades. As long as he pushed this cart of spirit jades back, it would be enough for him to complete his mission. "Tuyao, just now we didn't wear masks and rob Jia Huiyan's subordinate. Isn't that a bit inappropriate? What if he goes to the head of the family to complain about us? Will we be disqualified?" Seeing that Jia Tuyao had finished checking the spirit jades, and was excitedly pulling the cart by himself, Bai Songyan immediately walked over to help, but still asked worriedly, "Would he dare?" Jia Tuyao curled his lips disdainfully and said, "He got these spirit jades by duping others. Unless he's an idiot and wants to be punished on purpose, he will definitely keep his mouth shut." Originally, Jia Tuyao was supposed to wear a mask, but when he was hiding in the rear, he noticed that there was something wrong with the conversation between Jia Kunshu and Jia Shouling. Therefore, he decided to just rob them. Bai Songyan was suddenly enlightened, and a relieved smile appeared on his face. "You're right. It seems that we will definitely win this round." Jia Tuyao nodded and said, Let's go find Jia Shirlei and Jia Raijing first. Then calculate the number of spirit jades we've collected. Then we can go and get our points." After that, the two stopped chatting and focused on pulling the cart, heading towards the pre-agreed place. Jia Huiyan slept under the shade of a tree for a few hours. The sunlight peeking through the leaves had gradually turned to the west, and in the blink of an eye, it was nearly 6 o'clock in the evening, but Jia Kunshu and Jia Shouling were still nowhere to be seen. Chapter 10:19. Jia Huiyan, whose back was aching from sleeping, was a little impatient. He took out his phone and was about to give them a call when a figure suddenly appeared beside him, giving him a big fright. Only after taking a closer look did he realize that it was Tang Yuansheng. "Huiyan, I've got the rest of the spirit jades, a total of 78 pieces." Tang Yuansheng carried the two backpacks very easily. He looked around and asked in confusion, "Why aren't those two brats here yet? Logically speaking, they should be here by now, right? Could they have encountered some trouble?" Tang Yuansheng vaguely felt that something was wrong. There were quite a number of ferocious beasts hiding in the periphery of the mine. Could these two fellows have been killed by the beasts? F***ck. You scared me to death. Jia Huiyan patted the dust off his body. He was also a little puzzled. He scratched his chin and said, "That shouldn't be. The route I gave them is very safe. There shouldn't be too many problems. Could it be? Young Master Huiyan, Big Brother Yuansheng, quickly come and save us." Jia Huiyan had not finished speaking when they suddenly heard a heart-wrenching cry for help not far away. Both of them were startled and looked towards the direction of the voice. They saw Jia Kagu and Jia Shou madly running towards them with a terrified look on their faces. Their clothes were torn to shreds, and there were many wounds on their bodies that were constantly bleeding. Behind them was a 2-meter-long reptile. Disgusting mucus flowed from the corner of its mouth. It roared nonstop and waved its claws at Jia Kuangu and Jia Shoulai. It was obviously the culprit who had attacked them. "What the F***ck? Why is there a stone-throat lizard? Jia Huiyan frowned, but he still rushed over with Tang Yuansheng. Circulating their mental cultivation method, they joined hands and slapped at the stone-throat lizard. Boom! 2 fierce palm winds exploded on the back of the stone-throat lizard, causing a cloud of smoke to rise. When the smoke dissipated, they saw that there was an additional wound on the back of the stone-throat lizard, but the rest of the body was still intact. The stone-throat lizard felt the attack and paused. With a hiss, it turned around and rushed towards where Jia Huiyan was standing. What's going on? Why can't I kill it? Tang Yuansheng was stunned. Although he didn't use his full strength in that palm strike just now, it still contained 70 to 80% of his strength. He originally thought that the stone-throat lizard would be torn into pieces, but who would have thought that it was still alive and well? The carapace of the rock-throat lizard is extremely hard, and the part that is touched by its saliva will be petrified for a minute. Its only weakness is its mouth, so I can only wait for the moment it opens its mouth. Damn! As Jia Huiyan was explaining, the stone-throat lizard had already rushed in front of him. It opened its mouth and quickly spat out its sticky tongue, instantly wrapping around his right hand. Unable to break free for a while, Jia Huiyan felt that his right hand was gradually losing feeling. He turned pale with fright and hurriedly shouted to Tang Yuansheng, "Hurry up and help. Otherwise, we won't have the chance to attack." Tang Yuansheng didn't dare to be negligent. He immediately gathered his martial qi in his palm and attacked the stone-throat lizard's mouth with all his might. Boom! Another loud sound rang out. The stone-throat lizard didn't even have time to retract its tongue before it was blasted away. Its entire body was charred black, and it couldn't be more dead. I say, you two idiots, what are you doing? Didn't I tell you a few times to pay attention to the surroundings? You actually lured the stone-throat lizard here. What a fucking waste. Jia Huiyan flew into a rage and scolded them. Fortunately, the petrification of his right hand would only last for a minute, and it would be gone soon. Otherwise, he could only be a one-armed hero in the future. We didn't want to. If it weren't for Jia Kuncha being injured, we would definitely be able to escape from that lizard. Jia Kuncha was still in shock, gasping for breath, and saying with a depressed face, "Injured?" Jia Huiyan was a little surprised. He carefully looked at Jia Kunchu and found that apart from the scratches left by the lizard's claws, his face was also swollen like a pig's head. This was obviously not done by the lizard, and their cart was gone. Immediately, Jia Huiyan had a bad feeling and asked in a deep voice, "What on earth happened? Where are the spirit jades in the cart?" "Young Master Huiyan, you have to uphold justice for us. All the spirit jades were taken away by Jia Tuyao and his helper. Moreover, he beat me up indiscriminately." Sob, sob, sob. Jia Inu couldn't help but cry out in grievance. He felt that he was really unlucky. Yesterday, Jia Muzin took away his residence, and today, he was beaten by Jia Tuyao, and he didn't even complete the task assigned by young Master Huiyan. Cry, 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 cry. Stop crying. How did he know your route? Jia Huiyan flew into a rage. Suddenly he rolled his eyes, pointed at the two people and roared, "You two bastards, you didn't collude with him, did you? Otherwise, how could it be so coincidental?" "I'm innocent, young Master Huiyan. We don't know how we were targeted by Jia Tuyao. When we were pushing the spirit jades back, he suddenly appeared and then," Jia Kuncha said with a sad face, describing what had happened just now. "F***ck, you handed over the spirit jades, that's fine, but you actually betrayed me?" Jia Huiyan trembled in anger. He rolled up his sleeves and was about to rush over and teach Jia Kunchu and Jia Kunchu a lesson, but he was stopped by Tang Yuansheng. "Young Master Huiyan, don't be impulsive. We have to get to the gate of the mine as soon as possible. Maybe we can get the spirit jades back. Otherwise, if they hand them over, it will be really troublesome." Tang Yuansheng patted on Jia Huiyan's shoulder and said in a deep voice, then took the lead and rushed towards the gate. "Humph. You two, take the 2 bags of spirit jades and follow me. If you lose them again, be careful of your heads." Jia Huiyan snorted coldly, pointed at the bags on the ground, glared at Jia Kunchu and Jia Kunchu, then turned around and left with Tang Yuansheng. Jia Kunchu and Jia Kunchu glanced at each other. Both had a helpless look on their faces. Although they were wounded all over, and their bones were about to fall apart, they had no choice but to carry the bags and follow behind Jia Huiyan, while supporting each other with their tired bodies. When they arrived near the gate, Jia Huiyan found a corner and secretly looked towards the storage point. Immediately he was stunned. As it turned out, when Jia Kunchu and Jia Kunchu were avoiding the wild beasts and making their way back, Jia Tuyao had already taken a detour and returned to the storage point, and had already counted all the spirit jades. He was standing there leisurely, chatting with Bai Song Yen, with a relaxed look on his face. Obviously he was determined to win. Jia Shirlei and Jia Raijing were also standing beside him with flattering faces, and would occasionally say a few words to him. Jia Renzhong was standing alone at the gate of the mine, far away from Jia Tuyao. He was looking into the distance with a calm look on his face. Jia Muzin and Xiao Chun were nowhere to be seen. It seemed that they hadn't come back yet. Chapter 10:20. Jia Huiyan was so angry that he gnashed his teeth. Although he was itching to rush up and give Jia Tuyao a good beating, he had no choice but to swallow his anger. Moreover, it was getting late, and the deadline for the competition was approaching. Therefore, he had no choice but to drag Tang Yuansheng and his two subordinates towards the storage area, whose face was gloomy. "Ah, isn't this Huiyan? Why are you all covered in dirt?" Seeing them, Jia Tuyao walked up with a bright smile. But he saw Jia Kushu and Jia Shochu standing there with wounds all over their bodies. Although Jia Tuyao was a bit confused, he still took out a bottle of healing ointment from his pocket, handed it over and said in a friendly tone, Come, put this bottle of ointment on your wounds. This is my usual healing ointment, it's very effective. I guarantee that your wounds will be healed immediately." "No. It's okay, they're all skin wounds. How can we waste young Master Tuyao's precious ointment? We just need to go back and take a rest." Jia Kushu hurriedly waved his hands, with a trace of fear on his face. He even wanted to take a few big steps back, and pretend that he didn't understand Huiyan's words. He didn't want to have anything to do with Jia Tuyao. How could he dare to take that bottle of ointment? "Kushu, look at you, I don't like what you just said. We're all from the Jia family. I told you to take it, so just take it. Why are you still treating me like a stranger?" Jia Tuyao took a few steps forward, forcibly shoved the bottle of ointment into Jia Kushu's hand, then turned around and said to Jia Huiyan with a gentle smile, "Brother Huiyan, look at you, you must have gained quite a lot. There must be hundreds of spirit jades in here, right?" Looking at the two large bags held in Jia Kushu's hands, which were faintly glowing with the light of spirit jades, Jia Tuyao was indeed a bit surprised. He thought that he had robbed a whole cart of spirit jades from Jia Huiyan, which meant that he would definitely lose this competition. He never thought that Jia Huiyan had so many spirit jades. Hee, not much, I'm not as capable as you are." Jia Huiyan threw a glance at Jia Tuyao, sneered and said in a weird tone, "You don't need to do anything, you just need to move your fingers and you can get spirit jades. You're indeed a wolf in sheep's clothing. I admire you more and more." "Ha ha ha. Same here. We're pretty much the same, so let's not talk about each other." Jia Tuyao didn't bother to deny it, and responded with a fake smile. The competition for the position of the family leader had always been a competition of one party or the other. Normally, in the family, Jia Tuyao could hide his true identity and pretend to be weak, but in this kind of situation where he had to fight against the family leader for real, Jia Tuyao didn't need to pretend anymore. Jia Huiyan snorted, no longer paying any attention to Jia Tuyao. He took the two bags of spirit jades from Jia Kushi's hand and put them on the table in the storage area. Jia Huiyan has handed over 78 pieces of spiritual jade. After the counting was done, the counting staff recorded everything on the form and carefully checked it again. After that, he handed the form to Jia Jinyan and reported, "So far, Jia Huiyan has obtained 145 pieces of spirit jades. Jia Tuyao has 142 pieces of spirit jades. Jia Muzin has 65 pieces of spirit jades. And Jia Renzhong has 4 pieces of spirit jades. Patriarch, please have a look." The confident expression on Jia Tuyao's face froze, and he was greatly shocked. He thought that he had turned in the most number. but Jia Huiyan had actually turned in 3 pieces more than him. How is this possible? No. Soon, Jia Tuyao realized that Jia Huiyan must have turned in the spiritual jade this morning, and that Jia Muzin, who had been missing for a long time, had also turned in 65 pieces, hadn't he? He must have turned in the spiritual jade this morning as well. Damn it, this time, he had really miscalculated. Was he going to miss the first place with a gap of 3 pieces of spirit jades? Looking at Jia Tuyao's face changing from red to pale, Jia Huiyan felt as happy as drinking iced water in the dog days of summer. He was so proud that he could almost fly to the sky. Jia Huiyan was about to open his mouth to mock Jia Jinyan, but Jia Jinyan spoke first. Oh, other than the direct descendants and Jia Renzhong, the other branch descendants did not even manage to collect a single piece of spiritual jade. After Jia Jinyan finished looking at the form, he swept his gaze across the 4 branch descendants in front of him and asked in a flat tone. No. Jia Kushi, Jia Sholu, Jia Shirlei, and Jia Raijing hesitated for a second, then answered together. They all lowered their heads in embarrassment. You have to work hard in the next round. Jia Jinyan was not stupid. His mind was as clear as a mirror. Of course, he knew that these 4 collateral descendants had turned in all the spirit jades they had collected to Jia Huiyan and Jia Tuyao. Although he was a little displeased, he didn't say anything. Instead, he slightly sighed. After all, being able to subdue the collateral descendants could be counted as a kind of ability, but it was a little disgraceful. Jia Kushi and the other 4 disciples responded together, then cast their jealous and hateful glances at Jia Renzhong. The 4 of them either didn't collect any spirit jades themselves, or they had given all the spirit jades they had collected to their boss. Therefore, they didn't have a single piece. This Jia Renzhong had spent a whole day to collect only 4 pieces of spirit jades, but he had actually become the first place among the collateral descendants. What a lucky bastard! Jia Renzhong didn't notice the hostile glances from the others. He still calmly looked in front of him. He had been bullied so many times that this kind of glare was nothing to him. Reporting to Patriarch, there are only 5 minutes left before the competition ends. Do you think we should first count the weight of the spirit jades obtained by the young masters? The tallying staff finished reporting the numbers, raised his hand to look at his watch, and asked respectfully, Oh, no hurry, wait until Musun arrives. Jia Jinyan said unhurriedly, then slightly closed his eyes, as if he was thinking about something. Jia Muzin, this kid, said that he still has hundreds of spirit jades that he hasn't taken out. It's almost time. Why can't I see a shadow of him? Could it be that he can't take out the spirit jades, and is afraid of losing face in front of us, so he ran away like last time? Jia Huiyan was in a good mood. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and sneered proudly. In Jia Huiyan's eyes, this game was already as easy as pinching a snail with 3 fingers, and he was sure to win. No matter how hard he tried to calculate the weight, his 145 pieces of spirit jades were obviously heavier than Jia Tuyao's. And that guy named Xiao Chun, he actually said that he wanted to buy some ketchup and chili sauce. He thought that he was so awesome, and almost scared me to death. In the end, didn't I still get the first place? They are really 2 big idiots. Jia Quanchu and Jia Shoulai immediately laughed. Just when they were about to flatter Jia Huiyan, a familiar voice suddenly sounded from behind. Kid, what are you blindly talking about? Who is running away? Jia Huiyan was still immersed in the joy of victory. He was surprised when he heard the voice. He looked back and saw Xiao Chun and Jia Muzin walking back from afar with their backpacks on their backs. Those words were said by Xiao Chun. Chapter 1021. Yo, you 2 still dare to come back? Did you not find any spiritual jades, and found a pile of stones to make up the numbers? Jia Huiyan immediately retorted sarcastically. Jia Muzin glanced at Jia Huiyan, and did not argue with him. He directly handed the backpack to the tallying staff, and then apologetically said to Jia Jinyan, Grandpa, I'm sorry, we came back too late and made you wait for so long. No problem. The time is just right, we can start counting now. Jia Jinyan waved his hand. The tallying staff carefully counted the number of spiritual jades in the backpack, and looked at Jia Muzin with some surprise. He picked up a pen and filled in the form a few times, then reported, Jia Muzin turned in 98 spiritual jades this time. Adding the 65 from before, there is a total of 163 spiritual jades. As expected. What? This is impossible. How can he have so many spiritual jades? You must have counted incorrectly. Jia Huiyan was about to ridicule a few more times, but the words got stuck in his throat. He was so surprised that he could not even close his mouth. He quickly ran over and snatched Jia Muzin's backpack from the tallying staff, intending to personally count it again. Young Master Huiyan, I have already counted 3 times. There is no way I would have counted incorrectly. Furthermore, what you are doing is against the rules. Please bring the backpack over. I will start measuring the spiritual jades. The tallying staff was somewhat dissatisfied. He was Jia Jinyan's trusted aide, and did not need to give Jia Huiyan any face, so his words were very impolite. There are really 98. Jia Huiyan was very puzzled and muttered. He slowly took Jia Muzin's backpack and walked over. However, he quickly discovered something wrong when he opened the backpack's zipper. Ha ha ha. Jia Muzin, you are really good. Jia Huiyan quickly took out a spiritual jade from the backpack and raised it up with a laugh. I was wondering how such a small backpack could hold so many spiritual jades. Turns out they are all defective goods. Look, this spiritual jade is only a little bigger than a ping-pong ball. You still have the nerve to turn in this kind of trash? I really have to give it to you. Jia Huiyan threw away Jia Muzin's backpack and ran over to his own backpack. He took out another spiritual jade and raised it in his hand. Look at mine. This size, this appearance, and the light emitted by the spiritual jades. Every single one of them surpasses your trash spiritual jades. What was the use of numbers? Do you think we're comparing weight? What are you showing off for? It hasn't even been weighed yet. So how do you know that my spiritual jade isn't as heavy as yours? Hurry up and put it down. Don't waste everyone's time. We're all waiting to go home for dinner. Jia Muzin snatched his spiritual jade and put it back into his backpack. Mu-sun, Big Brother Huiyan's temper is just like that. Don't take it to heart. Jia Tiao patted Jia Muzin's shoulder. He also thought that Jia Muzin's spirit jade looked small and shriveled, and would definitely lose in weight. Therefore, he pretended to be kind and comforted Jia Muzin. Yo, Xiaochen, aren't you guys too useless? After attacking Jia Muzin, Jia Huiyan turned his head to look at Xiaochen. He did not let up and provoked him. After wasting so much time, you only took out this kind of inferior product. You even said that you want me to admit defeat and eat spiritual jades. Your face is really big. Can't you speak properly? Why did he spray so much saliva? Did you know that it almost stuck to my face? Xiaochen glared at Jia Huiyan, walked to the table lazily, took out a few bottles and jars, placed them on the table and sneered. Look carefully, don't say that we didn't take care of you. These are all prepared for you. After weighing, remember to eat all of our spiritual jades. Ha ha ha. Jia Huiyan glanced at the table and found that there were actually all kinds of sauces on the table. He almost burst out laughing. He looked at Xiaochen with a gaze full of pity. He thought that Xiaochen must have lost his mind. Even at this critical moment, Xiaochen was still acting cool. What are you laughing at? If it weren't for buying these sauces for you, Mu-sun would have already come back and handed over the spiritual jades. This has nothing to do with you. Xiaochen scoffed at Jia Huiyan's mockery. Jia Huiyan was too lazy to talk to the idiot in his eyes. He turned his head to the counter and said, Hurry up and start. Weigh my spiritual jades first. I want them to be convinced of their defeat. The counter directly ignored the fight between these young masters. He took out a scale from under the table and put the spiritual jades of Jia Huiyan, Jia Tuyao, and Jia Muzin on it. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the final result. After repeatedly checking the spiritual jades, the counter recorded the weight of each spiritual jades, and finally handed the form to Jia Jinyan for him to announce. Jia Jinyan looked at the data, raised his head, and announced unhurriedly, The weight of the spiritual jades mined this time has been calculated. They are, Jia Renzhong's spiritual jades total 2 caddies and 7 taels. Jia Huiyan's spiritual jades total 96 caddies. Jia Tuyao's spiritual jades total 98 caddies. Jia Muzin's spiritual jades total 125 caddies. There was no sound. The entrance of the mine was completely silent, as if it was a no-man's land. Apart from Xiao Chen and Jia Muzin, everyone's expression froze. They had a look of disbelief on their faces. Some people subconsciously rubbed their ears, thinking that they had misheard. Xiao Chen looked at Jia Renzhong with a slightly profound look. Just now, when the counter weighed the spiritual jades, he saw that Jia Renzhong had taken a total of 4 spiritual jades. Although it was not a lot, it meant that Jia Hongyong did not provide him with any spiritual jades. This made Xiao Chen a little surprised. It seemed that this Jia Hongyong was a person with principles. Although he had actively helped Jia Muzin, he did not seek benefits for his nephew. Moreover, he did not mention anything about helping Jia Renzhong. This person could be used. Jia Jinyan paused for a moment, and then said, I hereby announce that in the first round of the family competition, the collateral family's winner is Jia Renzhong, and the direct family's winner is Jia Muzin. Xiao Chen glanced at Jia Renzhong again, and found that his expression was calm. He did not seem to be wild with joy, because he had won with only 4 spiritual jades. Xiao Chen couldn't help but look at Jia Renzhong in a higher light. It seemed that this guy's willpower was quite firm. He was indeed a good seedling. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. There must have been an error in the measurement. My spiritual jades are so big. How could they be lighter than those ping-pong balls? Jia Huiyan's body trembled, and he finally recovered. He was so angry that he roared loudly at the counter. At this time, the crowd also started to clamor, and one after another, they expressed their disbelief. Jia Kusi and Jia Shole also echoed, and insisted that Jia Huiyan's spiritual jades should be the heaviest. Jia Renzhong still stood far away, and looked at the group of collateral family disciples with slight disdain. When Jia Huiyan heard that there were people supporting him, his courage grew, and he fiercely roared, There must be a problem here. I want to weigh it again. Chapter 1022. Huiyan, shut up. Don't mess around. The counting clerk was so angry that his beard was twitching. When he was about to retort, he heard someone shouting from afar. Everyone turned around and saw 2 silhouettes rushing over from afar. Jia Yubian was in the front, and Jia Yudo was behind him. They had just finished dealing with their family affairs, so they immediately rushed over. Jia Yubian didn't expect to see his son arguing with the counting clerk as soon as he arrived. He was instantly scared out of his wits. All the counting clerks on the scene were his father's trusted subordinates. Normally, when he saw them, he had to give them some face and greet them. But this little bastard was actually angry at them. After Jia Yubian stopped Jia Huiyan, he strode to the entrance of the mine, grabbed the older counting clerk and said, Uncle Gui, please don't be angry at this unfilial son. It's all my fault for not teaching him well. I hope you won't take it to heart. Humph. Uncle Gui snorted coldly, freed his hand from the grip, suppressed the anger in his heart and said, Your son is quite capable. How could he suspect me? I've been following the old master for at least 40 to 50 years, but I've never been insulted like this. He's so arrogant. Uncle Gui, please calm down. I'll ask him to apologize to you right now. Jia Yubian turned around and looked at Jia Huiyan. His face instantly darkened. He kicked him heavily and yelled, You little bastard, what have I taught you? Hurry up and apologize to Uncle Gui. I didn't say anything wrong. Why should I apologize? It's obvious that he weighed it wrongly. Look at the spirit jades I got. Each of them is several times bigger than Jia Muzin's. But he said that my spirit jades are only 96 kilograms, less than Jia Tuyao's, and nearly 30 kilograms less than Jia Muzin's. How is this possible? Jia Huiyan didn't know what was going on. He widely opened his eyes and protested loudly. Stop talking nonsense. A loss is a loss. Don't worry about Jia Muzin's spirit jades. Jia Yubian glanced at the spirit jades on the ground. Suddenly, he stopped scolding and walked over. He picked up the spirit jades that Jia Muzin brought back, and carefully looked at them. Instantly, his face darkened and he asked, Muzin, who allowed you to use the spirit jades from the main mine to participate in the competition. This is clearly cheating, as the spirit jades in the main mining area were specially processed before being produced. Not only were they carefully selected, but they had also removed impurities. Therefore, the quality was first class. Although they were only the size of ping-pong balls, they felt much heavier than ordinary spirit jades. Jia Yubian had been in charge of the heavenly jade mine for many years, so he could recognize them immediately. Jia Muzin's complexion was somewhat unsightly. Just now, when he went to look for Jia Hongyong to ask for spirit jades, Jia Hongyong had readily agreed, and very generously gave him a large pile. Jia Muzin didn't pay too much attention to the size and quality of the spirit jades. He only wanted to win. At this time, he was feeling a little regretful. If he had known this would happen, he would have used some ordinary spiritual jades. Anyway, they were heavy enough, and he could have won. Jia Yubian wouldn't have seen through him. Turtle Whip, you said that this spiritual jade was taken from the main mine. Do you have any proof? Besides, what does this match have to do with you? The old patriarch has already announced Jia Muzin's victory. So why are you still saying such useless things? Xiao Qin impatiently dismissed him. If you have nothing to do, don't keep messing around here. Go somewhere cool. Jia Yubian directly ignored Xiao Qin and said to Jia Jinyan, Father, I suggest that we immediately find the acting manager of the main mine, Jia Hongyong. As long as we check the accounts of the recent spiritual jade mining, I believe that the truth will soon come to light. If Jia Muzin is indeed suspected of cheating, I suggest that this match be annulled and Jia Muzin's participation qualification be permanently revoked. There is no need for that. To Jia Yubian's surprise, Jia Jinyan directly rejected his proposal and said flatly, Since I have already announced the result, then Jia Muzin is the winner of this match, and at the same time, he will get 1 point. Jia Yubian anxiously wanted to refute, but when the words were about to come out of his mouth, he was interrupted by Xiao Qin. This fart, be careful, or else I will publicly expose how Mu Sun and I entered the inner martial arts world. Xiao Qin threatened. Jia Yubian was stunned. Only then did he remember that his son's spiritual jades were obtained by secretly holding a trial mission. If it was really investigated, Jia Huyan would also not be able to escape the responsibility. Just as Jia Yubian was hesitating, Jia Jinyan waved his hand, stood up, and said to the direct descendants and collateral descendants, That's it. The next match is tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning, held inside the Jia family. You must be tired from the day, go back and rest early. After saying that, Jia Jinyan and the other counting staff left, directly ignoring Jia Yubian, who wanted to say something but was hesitant. Jia Jinyan wasn't being biased. Before Jia Yubian had noticed the abnormality of the spirit jades, he had already discovered the source of Jia Muzin's spirit jades. However, in his opinion, the way of commanding his subordinates was equally important. Jia Muzin was able to successfully recruit Jia Hongyong as his subordinate without any foundation. He was able to make Jia Hongyong willingly take the risk to hand over the spirit jades that he had refined. Besides, Jia Jinyan could roughly guess where Jia Huyan and Jia Tiao got so many spirit jades from. Therefore, Jia Jinyan chose to turn a blind eye to it, and didn't intend to make a fuss about it. Otherwise, if he got to the bottom of the matter, no one would benefit from it. Jia Yubian hesitated for a long while, finally stamped his foot, gave up the protest side, and turned around to take Jia Huyan's spiritual jades. As soon as he took the spiritual jades, Jia Yubian was immediately stunned. He weighed the spiritual jades in his hand in confusion, then turned around and asked Jia Huyan, Huyan, the number of spiritual jades doesn't seem right? Why does it seem to be less? Jia Huyan had failed in his protest and was feeling dispirited. Hearing Ji Hao's question, he pointed his finger at Jia Tuyao and said, Those spiritual jades were taken away by him. What? Jia Yubian was startled. He abruptly turned around and reached his hand towards Jia Tuyao's spiritual jades. However, right when Jia Yubian's fingers touched the edge of the spiritual jades, another hand suddenly reached out and snatched the spiritual jades away. It was Jia Yudo. who had been standing aside and watching for quite a while. "What are you doing?" "Those are our spiritual jades." Jia Yubian glared at Jia Yudo and yelled, "Who can prove that they are yours? Where did you get them? Are your names on those spiritual jades?" Jia Yudo looked at Jia Yudo with a faint smile and threw out a series of questions. "You said they are yours? Fine, we'll go to the family leader to prove it. As long as you can tell us the source of these spiritual jades, and we can verify it, I'll immediately give these spiritual jades to you." Jia Yubian was so angry that his chest was heaving up and down, and his eyes were dazzled. This Jia Yudo had grasped his lifeline, and he was sure that Jia Yudo dared not to complain to the family leader. Chapter 1023. Tut tut tut, dog bites dog, a mouthful of fur. "Mu-san, I finally understand why you ran away from home." Xiaochen sighed. "In this kind of family, even brothers can fight each other shamelessly. It's so dirty." "Who the hell are you calling shameless?" Jia Huiyan, who was already irritated by Xiaochen, jumped up like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, pointed at Xiaochen and screamed, "Oh, if you didn't jump out, I would have forgotten." "Jia Huiyan, now it's time to witness a miracle." Xiaochen clapped his hands, took Jia Muzin's bag of spiritual jades, put it in front of Jia Huiyan, pointed at the sauces on the table, and said with a smirk, "Come on, eat all these spiritual jades. Ketchup, curry sauce, you can choose any. Hey, don't leave so soon. Everyone here heard it. Are you going to go back on your words?" Humph. Hearing this, Jia Huiyan immediately lost his confidence. He shrunk his head, ignored Jia Huiyan's attempt to stop him, turned around and left in a huff. Jia Yubian had suffered a great loss at Jia Yudo's side, and his complexion didn't look too good. He ordered Jia Kushi and Jia Shoulai to carry the collected spirit jades into the carriage, then fiercely glared at Jia Muzin and Jia Tuyao, got into the carriage and drove away. While the crowd was quarreling, Jia Renzhong had quietly left the heavenly jade mine. Xiaochen wanted to talk to him, but by the time he thought about it, Jia Renzhong had already disappeared. "Musan Xiaochen, you did a good job. Congratulations, continue to work hard tomorrow." Jia Tuyao's eyes flashed with a trace of ruthlessness. He patted Jia Muzin's shoulder, pretending to encourage him, and then hurriedly left with Jia Yudo and his men. Jia Muzin and Xiaochen looked at each other and smiled. They both saw that although Jia Tuyao was unwilling, he couldn't do anything to them. Since the family leader had spoken in front of everyone, Jia Tuyao dared not to raise any objection. Although he didn't want Jia Muzin to win, he couldn't blatantly raise his objection, because what had happened to Jia Huiyan was still vivid in his mind. Therefore, he could only think of other ways in the following matches. The two of them leisurely returned to Jia Muzin's courtyard. After taking a bath, Xiaochen casually ate something to fill his stomach, before he went to look for a few female cultivators for dual cultivation. Xiaochen described today's competition to them. When he talked about the highlights, the girls covered their mouths or giggled. After chatting, everyone immersed themselves in cultivation. Xiaochen still didn't have sex with them. He just simply cultivated. After all, he didn't know what was going to happen next, so he didn't want to waste too much energy. At 8 o'clock the next morning, all the participants of the second match gathered in the conference room, waiting for Jia Jinyan to announce the content of the match. Today's second trial is mainly to test everyone's adaptability. Seeing that all the participants had arrived, Jia Jinyan calmly introduced, "In this trial, you have to facilitate a cooperation project between our family and other martial arts sects within 1 day. Every contract is marked with the family's bottom line. If you choose to sign a contract below the bottom line to achieve your goal, then the contract will be invalid. Do you understand?" Today's competition was slightly more complicated than yesterday's. Everyone was silent for a while, and no one nodded. Jia Jinyan was not in a hurry, and quietly waited. "Grandpa, I have a question. If everyone spends the same amount of time, and signs the contract below the bottom line, how will the winner be determined?" Jia Muzin thought for a while, raised his hand and asked, "Whoever can get more benefits for the family under the same conditions will be the winner." Jia Jinyan seemed to have expected that someone would ask this question, so he unhurriedly explained. The bottom line marked on the contract is divided into several levels. The one who gets the most benefits for the family will get 3 points. The one who gets the least benefits will get 2 points. The one who signs the contract below the bottom line will get 1 point. And the one who signs the contract below the bottom line will not be allowed to sign the contract, and will directly fail. Jia Muzhen nodded. It seemed that this competition didn't have much to do with time. As long as the family could get the most benefits within 1 day, it would be fine. Is there anyone else who has a question? Jia Jinyan asked again. Seeing that no one had any objection, he opened his mouth and said, Well, next let's draw lots. First, we'll draw the negotiation partners, then we'll draw the cooperation projects. These 2 projects are random, and you'll draw them according to seniority. 2 simple wooden boxes were placed on the conference table, each containing a few letters. From the appearance, there was no difference at all. Jia Huiyan took the lead and walked over. After studying for a while, he found that there was no shortcut, so he hesitated and picked a letter from each of the 2 wooden boxes. Then he returned to his seat, opened it and read it. Next it was Jia Tuyao and Jia Muzhen's turn. After they had finished drawing lots and returned to their seats, it was the turn of the collateral descendants. When the last Jia Renzhong got the letter, he immediately put away the wooden boxes containing the letters and took them away. It was not that there were many descendants of the Jia family, but for the sake of fairness, Jia Jinyan deliberately put more letters in order to avoid the advantages and disadvantages of choosing first and last. After drawing a letter, everyone opened it and read it. However, except for Jia Tuyao and Jia Renzhong, the others didn't look very good. The reason was very simple. The Jia family relied on the Heaven Jade Mine, and usually, its main function in the martial arts world was to supply spirit jades in exchange for resources. Therefore, the cooperation content was nothing more than exchanging spirit jades for natural treasures, cultivation manuals, weapons, spirit beasts, and so on. Regarding this kind of competition, Jia Tuyao was surely very confident. His father, Jia Yudo, was usually in charge of contacting other sects and families. Therefore, Jia Tuyao had a wide network of friends. Therefore, it was not a problem for him to form a cooperation within the shortest span of time. As far as Jia Tuyao was concerned, this competition was simply tailor-made for him. If he didn't win the first place, it would be absolutely intolerable. As for Jia Renzhong, there was a hint of joy on his face. The contract he had drawn was the simplest one among all the types. As long as he talked with the partners normally, he would almost certainly succeed. Therefore, he was naturally a little happy. Next, I'll give you some time to prepare. Familiarize yourself with the key points of cooperation and negotiation skills. Jia Jinyan took in everyone's expressions and calmly said a few words. I've already invited the people in charge of contacting the clans and sections 1 hour from now. All of you will gather in the reception hall on time. Glancing at the crowd, Jia Jinyan left the conference room with his subordinates and went to make preparations. Mu-san, what's the content of your contract? Xiao Chun craned his neck to take a look and found that it was written on the contract that they would exchange spirit jades for martial arts manuals. He patted Mu-sen's shoulder and said casually, This is quite simple. 100 spirit jades for 3 handwritten martial arts manuals. It can be negotiated in minutes. Don't worry, the first place is definitely yours. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.